Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
Aren't Cooey.
Something's different.
I am changing.
I don't know if I like who I'm becoming.
Boyd, there are a lot of people wanting to know what happened down there.
Mom, where's Dad? Why isn't he back yet?
Tabitha,
We need to talk.
It means everything they showed us. It's real. I think they're doing it to make us afraid.
Well, then it worked.
There is something ancient here. And it's feeding off our suffering, and it doesn't stop.
We're losing. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the goddamn rules. There is no way to fight back against those things. Everything we've done, every sacrifice we've made, none of us are going anywhere.
You think you're some kind of hero? You're a monster.
Lord, please protect us in this dark place where evil roams so freely. This we ask in your name. Amen.
One way or another, the truth always comes out.
I would make sure it doesn't. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the rules.
Everything here is impossible, but it's also real.
Saving those children is how we all go home.
There's something else here now. Something new. Your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim.
And welcome welcome all to another edition of the Fromville Hour. And here on this fine Thursday evening, I am joined by our other awesome co-host. You guys know him, you guys love him, Lord Ravener himself. Welcome, Ravener. You and I haven't even had a chance, I believe, to even talk about episode 2 yet. So I'm looking forward to getting some of your thoughts on that. And of course, some predictions heading into episode 3. But thank you for joining us, my friend. Welcome.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here for sure. I haven't even seen the new trailer. You know, like you're the one that snatches it off the cable station because you know, they don't do themselves any favors. I mean, they tuck that thing away. So I literally it'll be the first viewing for me. And actually I saw your recorded video earlier today. I saw that it said spoiler. So
There's well, that's a different one. That's right. We have the episode 3 trailer that we'll definitely take a look at. But MGM just dropped another trailer today. Every once in a while, they did this last year, where like after I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes in, they dropped what's called a critics spot trailer, and it's a trailer showing a few new scenes of some new footage, but mostly it's to kind of promote all of the really good quotes that the critics have been saying about From. It, you get to see what Screen Rant's saying, what Collider's saying. It's a critic spot trailer, basically. But yes, it is a new trailer. It does have around 20 seconds or so, 30 seconds or so of all new footage. And some of it is kind of spoilery, including our first look at Smiley in season 2.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was very interesting. And we saw an evidence of how they sometimes trick you with the trailers just in this very episode. I know that you had mentioned that Harold Perrineau said this was the biggest episode and the most impactful, and we were kind of skeptical, thinking maybe it's just hype, or maybe he's being interviewed right before episode 2. Then why wouldn't he say episode 2?
Why not hype up episode 2? Right, exactly.
But I tell you, this one was heavy. This was a heavy episode. A lot went on, and ironically, I think this was looking at it and watching it multiple times. I think some of the scenes weren't as strong as I thought they were, but the sum of the parts was made it a very, very strong episode. In isolation, the individual episodes, some of the people weren't fantastic, but altogether, we saw exactly why the episode was entitled Fray. Coming loose around the edges, the
edges are fraying.
And every character got to dip their spoon in that pot. Even Kenny, everybody got a little taste of things just getting a little more chaotic, a little more out of hand, a little more out of control. And I was wondering, when I'm watching it with a critical eye, I look at each scene individually and wonder, okay, why is this here? What are they saying? What are they saying in the dialogue? But then what are the writers telling us as well? And this one, even when the acting, I mean, some of the acting was a little, I think maybe it called for a little more than what some of the people could provide. But all in all, I think the net effect at the end of the episode was just super heavy. And the way they finished it, I thought was kind of super nice with Ghost Jim. So I was like, wow, the tension, the anxiety, the wildness. And then here's a nice touching scene at the end. And I was like, wow. And I saw the title of the episode here. Was that really Jim? And I hope we will definitely get into that later in the show.
Yes, we will definitely get into that, because I when it comes to is that really Jim or not, I feel like there's really good arguments for both sides in terms of the people that think that is really Jim and who think that might not really be Jim. There's really good arguments on both sides of that spectrum, and we'll definitely get into that too. But overall, I think episode 2 was, it was one of those episodes. I get what Harold Perrineau said, why he said it was kind of the catalyst, because, you had to have the reveal of Jim's body. Like, that had to be a profound moment. It had to be big. It had to have spectacle. And I feel like they did a pretty good job. I feel like they did it justice in terms of like the reveal of finally seeing Jim's body, not only doing it justice, but also tying it all the way back to season 1 and tying it all the way back to Tabitha's vision Tabitha's dream that she had of finding Jim strung up just like that at the top of the lighthouse. So I love how it was not only a good reveal, but it kind of pays something off that was set up all the way back in season 1. And that's one thing that I am enjoying that season 4 seems to be doing a lot of. It seems like season 4, a lot of it, and even the creator of the show has said this in that recent interview they did, that a lot of season 4 is going back and tying up what they began in season 1. Like, because there's tons of stuff that they have set up in season 1 and in season 2 and even season 3 that they haven't paid off yet. It looks like this is the season that is going back and paying a lot of that stuff off. not all of it, of course. I mean, they got to save some stuff for season 5, their final season. But I get the feeling by the time season 4 is done, we're going to have just a way better grasp on what Fromville is, how it started, who started it, who the man in yellow is, the monsters, the sacrifice, all of it. I really feel like this is the season for answers. But I'm glad that they're not just throwing answers at us. It seems like they're directly tying it back to stuff that they set up earlier in the show. And that tells me that they had really good foreshadowing and planned to kind of, go this route in, one way or another at some point down the road. So I like that because, again, there's still a lot of loose ends from very early on in the show that we still have no idea about, but it looks like they're circling back to a lot of this stuff, which is why I'm very confident that this is going to be the season where Jade finds out about Toby. I just feel like it's got to. I feel like this has got to be the season where Jade really finds out what Sarah did to Toby. I don't think he really knows. I don't think he knows the full extent of it. I mean, I think he knows that Sarah open the door to the clinic and let everybody in there get killed. But I don't think Jade knows like the full extent that it was actually Sarah herself that killed Toby. That the whole reason why Sarah left the door open was to cover for the fact that she killed Toby. The whole reason why his body was mangled was because she mangled it up to make it look like it was a monster attack. I don't know if Jade knows all those finer details. So I'm hoping that little kind of skeletons in the closet for a lot of our characters, that this is going to be the season where a lot of those get, dragged out into the light.
Yeah. And I think, especially regarding Jade and Toby, Sarah and Toby, I don't think Jade would even suspect that. I mean, I think I don't even know that would enter his mind. Everybody thought, oh my God, this girl's crazy. Oh my God, this girl did something terrible. But they didn't, they wouldn't even explore the extent. They wouldn't even suspect her of going that much farther. And going back to, as you're saying, the way they're recalling previous seasons episodes and referencing things like the upside down hanging. One thing that they did do really good in this episode, and one thing that I really appreciate, and it's really in the craft of the screenwriting, and it's might be slipping under the radar. They might not be getting as much credit, but we're getting repeatedly reminded, just real subtle, that we know more than the characters do, and we've seen it a couple.
Yeah, we know a lot more. Like us as the audience, we know way more. Yeah,
throughout the episode. And again, there was no reason for the characters to suspect anything different. They see Jim hanging upside down, and they're saying they did it. The monsters
did it. Yeah, they just assume and you see the man in yellow was very clever. He went, not only did he, rip open Jim's throat, which could easily look like a monster attack as well, but then he went a step further and he clawed out Jim's freaking chest cavity to also make it, the signature mark. We see the monsters, one of their signature marks is the chest is all carved out, organs gone. And it looks like he did that. Looks like he did that to Jim's body to further make it look like it was just a regular monster attack. So and again, I think that's going to be a very interesting reveal. When exactly are the characters going to find out about the man in yellow? I mean, us, I don't mind being in this position as an audience member for a little bit in terms of like the audience knowing more than the characters. It gets to a point where you want the characters to catch up. You want the characters and the audience to be on equal footing. So I hope that they don't drag the Sophia thing out too much. Like I'm really hoping by like midway through the season, they'll have found out that Sophia is really the man in yellow. Like, I really hope this isn't something they drag out too long. Because, again, I don't mind being here for a little bit, but this audience knowing way more than the characters thing, there's always an aspect of that in any television show when it comes to storytelling, especially mystery storytelling. But when something is this big in terms of, like, the main villain getting revealed, that's something our characters need to know about, and sooner rather than later. So I hope they don't drag the Sophia thing out too long.
Yeah, I think we'll start seeing the cracks. I think maybe now the man in yellow, the Sophia in yellow is a great antagonist, creepy, weird. I wonder if the way I think that we'll get a reveal is maybe she won't be as clever as she thinks she is.
Exactly.
She'll make
a mistake. Yep.
Yeah, somewhere. And I was, I wanted to watch that scene with her and Sarah. Sarah looking extra tall this episode too. I think those combat boots are doing her a favor.
Well, the actress playing Sophia, apparently, like, she's like really short. So I think next to Sarah, Sarah just looks super tall next to her.
That was kind of a funny contrast.
Yeah.
But,
and in terms of like the continuity aspect of it, in terms of Sophia, because there's going to come a time where she's not going to be able to maintain this perfect continuity forever. She's going to slip up at some point. Our characters are going to notice. And Pam and I were mentioning last week, she might have already slipped up a little bit. When she comes to Kenny, she talks about how she saw the tree in the road, but she doesn't mention the crows. Everyone that gets stuck in Fromville, they all see the tree and they all see the crows, but she didn't mention the crows. She only mentions the tree. And I thought it's going to be little stuff like that. Maybe not the crow thing itself. I'm just using the crow thing as an example. It's going to be little things like that along the way that is going to trip her up, I think.
It very well may be. That may be why we get extra crows at some point in the episode, as we saw in the season trailer.
It might be even episode 3 where we get the crow. It looks like we got some crows coming to the funeral. Like if the season 4 trailer is any indication, it looks like the crows show up to the funeral. And now that Jim's dead and his body has been recovered, and Sophia's fake dad's body is there, I imagine the funeral has to be coming in this next episode.
And they haven't really. I have a lot of excitement for this upcoming episode.
Me too.
Given what we were given in this episode, it does seem like they're going all gas, no brakes, and I'm kind of digging it. Another little callback, and this was almost for the people who like to pause and zoom and enhance and really analyze the photos. Was like the yes,
I'm one of them.
The entire Discord, I know when we saw this little scene in the episode 2 trailer, people were zooming because they saw that Jade had written 1981 instead of, and we've been referring to the 1978 massacre for ages. But
we discussed that, yeah.
And it's just slightly different. I mean, it's his understanding. It's the characters knowing generally getting the gist of what we know, but not quite exact. And I think people put a lot of significance in that. But I think it was 78. I think we've established it was 78. You don't think so?
No, this is where I'm starting to think maybe the massacre itself didn't take place in 78. I think that was the 1978 cycle, but that was 1978. All we know about 1978 is that was the year Victor arrived in Fromville. They arrived there in 1978, but they lived there a little bit before the massacre happened. So I'm starting to think that the 1981 date is when the massacre actually took place. 1978 was when Victor landed there, and by proxy, Miranda and Christopher at the same time. The start of a new cycle, 1978, and then the massacre happens 3 years later after they've already been living there for 3 years. I think that could explain at least the 1981 date.
Man, that's a long time to be hiding under bushes and in spider holes and stuff.
Well, I mean, we saw Boyd found the talismans only 3 years ago. Only 2.5, 3 years ago. So before Boyd found the talismans, there were decades and decades of cycles where there were no talismans, it seems. It seems like everybody was probably just hiding anywhere they could until Boyd found those.
Yeah, and the full storeroom kind of testifies to that. People were, and I think early in the episode they were talking about how many people died before Boyd. When Boyd was getting his little pep talk, and they're telling him, before you found the talismans, we lost more people in a day than we've lost
in a day or a week. Yep. Then true, very true. Yeah, the bodies were dropping much more rapidly. Let me get to this real quick. We got Ray, who has just dropped $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Ray. Very much appreciate you, my friend. Very, very much appreciate you. Excellent job getting the trailers out there. I mean, I saw it uploaded and put it up as soon as I saw it. I try to get things out as quick as possible. But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. I am so ready for Smiley and Sophia/Sarah confrontation. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to finally seeing really Smiley for the first time again. Yes, we did see him in episode 1 when he was still covered in blood and just getting dressed, but I want to see Smiley proper. Like I want to see proper Smiley 2.0. And again, I love how in the in episode 1 we see him getting dressed, and like we literally just see him throwing his clothes on top of his bloody, mangled, monster placenta ridden body. Like he's not even cleaning himself off. He's just throwing his clothes on right all over all this blood. And lo and behold, when you see him in the trailer, he's got the clothes on and he's just super clean. Like, so, you know, it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Come on. Like, what's going on? But no, I'm looking forward to seeing Smiley again. I think, you know, he's been such an iconic kind of part of the show, not just like in character, but in like the show's imagery. Like when a lot of people think of From, I have to imagine Smiley, that image of Smiley smiling is one of the first images you think of. And I think that's why that image was so synonymous with all of the marketing. Like you look at the marketing for the first 2 seasons of From, it's all Harold Perrineau and it's all Smiley on all of the promotional material. It's always them two or one or the other. And I think they had a really good striking image there with the actor they cast to play Smiley, and Justin McClure, I think his name was. But no, I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see our Smiley back. I got, you know, the show just wasn't the same without him. Even if his resurrection, even if the timeline of his resurrection is in somewhat question, I am glad ultimately that the character is back, and I am looking forward to see him again for the first time, and then just to see, like, is this going to be the same old Smiley? Is he going to be exactly the same, or is there going to be some kind of change to him? Could this be a little bit of a different Smiley? I don't know. But I also want to see what's going to happen with Fatima. I know we've talked about this a million times, but is Fatima going to have some kind of connection to Smiley? Because it seemed like when Fatima was giving birth to Smiley at the end of season 3, it seemed like she kind of tapped into his memories, almost like there was a little psychic link there for a second, where she was able to see his memories, see his past, see that he was once human, see that he is one of the parents that sacrificed their own children for immortality. So I feel like it would be such a missed opportunity if they didn't continue that into season 4, where maybe there's some kind of connection that Fatima still has to Smiley. Maybe she can learn more about them, because you see here in season 4, it's almost like she hasn't remembered everything quite yet. We see it at the very beginning when she's still down there in the root cellar, right at the beginning of episode 1. You know, we hear her saying that they sacrificed their children to something awful, something terrible, but she couldn't quite think what that something awful and terrible was. Almost like she just couldn't quite remember. Almost like maybe she got this like super big information download all at once, and she's having tough time like sifting through it all and remembering it very clearly. But I'm hoping as the season goes on, she's going to start seeing that a little bit more clearly. And we find out definitively what is the quote unquote what that brought this deal to the parents. Was it the man in yellow, or are we in for some big kind of twist? I think the obvious answer is the man in yellow. I think that's, you know, sometimes the simplest answer is the right one, that the man in yellow offered this deal to the parents. But what if that isn't the case? What if we're in for some kind of massive twist, and there's a reason why they're having Fatima not remember it yet? Because they want to save that massive reveal for later on. Like maybe it was really the boy in white or something crazy.
Right. And I mean, I think we've all been in that situation where you have a dream and you're trying to describe, you know, your dream could be vivid. It could be full of a lot of different stuff, but then you try to explain it to somebody and you sound like sometimes a crazy person. You can't quite get you can't quite get your brain around it. You can't quite get the words to describe it around it. Because you're feeling it. There's a lot of sensations that defy verbal explanation to other people. As far as Fatima and Smiley, I don't think that they can avoid at some point doing a hi mom or something like that. I think
is it like too tempting? I guess that's a good question. Is that going to be too tempting for the From writers to resist throwing in that one little scene where he's like, hey mom?
Exactly. And I'm still kind of curious as to how Ellis is going to approach this, because right up to the end he thought it was still his kid, right? Even though there was crazy stuff going on.
I guess. I mean,
she's eating garbage.
Even Boyd, when he's torturing Elgin, like Boyd's thinking he's trying to save Fatima and his grandchild at that point. So up until that point, even though Fatima's going through all this weirdness, we saw that they didn't quite believe her, that, Boyd kind of thought Fatima was losing it a little bit, because he's seen what this place has done to people. So, it's almost like even right up to the point Smiley was born, they were kind of wondering if Fatima was just losing it.
No, I have a question, and you're probably better equipped. My memory just doesn't serve. Was Smiley from square one? Was he into the promo, or did they play an episode or two and realize they had something special with his creepiness of his smile, and then really pivot and lean into it? Because I kind of got the sense that he popped up a lot more. He was one of those characters that caught on greater probably than the show had anticipated, and then when they realized they had something, because
I think you're right, man. I mean, it looks like they went out and, when you look at the casting calls for when they put out casting calls to cast the monsters, it specifically says like they're looking for people with like very prominent facial features, whether that's big cheekbones, big smile, big eyebrows, like something that stands out. So it looked like they were going for a certain look with the smile and everything. But yeah, I think you might be right. I think once they actually got Justin on set and got him in character and in costume, and got to see just how creepy that smile was, maybe they saw like, oh shit, this is actually something pretty interesting. We should lean into this imagery a little bit more. I could totally see that being the case.
And I actually like that when they do that. We're all aware that Victor was originally going to die, right? And the original plan for him was for him to die, and then people kind of cottoned on to him. People kind of like embraced him as a character, and then that kind of expanded his role and essentially kept him alive.
Essentially, yeah, indeed. We got a $2 super chat from Mick Light. Thank you so much, Mick Light. Sacrificed his child. There were only 7 children. Yes, there were only 7 children, which means only technically 14 of the monsters were actually parents of the children, Smiley being one of them. And I think we get that indication at the end of season 3 when Smiley is being born, Smiley's birth scene. In that chamber, we see 13 other monsters. So if we're to assume that those other monsters are potentially the parents, then maybe Smiley was one of them as well. I mean, there's always a possibility that Smiley wasn't, because again, we do have way more monsters than we have parents. Like that much is very clear. It almost looks like we have a whole community of monsters, yet there's only 7 children, which means only 14 parents, not even 14 parents, actually 12 parents. If you take away the original Jade and the original Tabitha, who didn't turn into monsters, as far as we know. So you got 12 parents that have turned into the monsters. And I guess the question is Smiley one of those parents, or is he just another one of the town that also got cursed along with them? Because again, that is something the show definitely needs to explain a little bit more definitively. It almost seems like they kind of rip themselves into a corner unless they have a bigger explanation for it. Like maybe there were only 12 parents, 14 parents of the 7 children, but when they did this sacrifice, their whole community got cursed and they all got turned into monsters. And maybe that could explain why we see how some monsters are different ages than others. Like we see some of the monsters look to be like teenagers, almost like teenage kids. The one that tries to say, "Hey, Julie, don't you remember me?" Like some of them seem young. Some of them are kind of middle-aged, and some of them are super old. So when you
librarian,
like, the waiter,
professor,
like that, the old couple that sits at the pool that Randall talked about, like these monsters are. It looks like it's a whole community, almost like it's a whole town of people that got turned into these monsters. But yeah, it looks like only 14 of them were actual parents of the Ankui children. But again, that's something the show definitely needs to explain a little bit better. If there are only 14 parents, then why do we have way more than 14 monsters? Because we've counted. We have way more than 14 monsters. I remember when we counted, we got close to seeing at least like 20 to 25 different actors that we've seen play monsters on the show up until this point. Actors that they continuously bring back every season. the same extras, the same actors, the same monsters. Every season they bring these same actors back. So yeah, that is something the show definitely needs to explain. How come there are only 7 children, and how come there are only 14 parents, yet there's way more monsters? That's something you need to answer.
Yeah, and maybe and I think you might have put your finger right on it. There were 14 parents involved in the sacrifice, but the entire village was
Maybe
the curse fell on everybody. It didn't discriminate. You didn't have to be involved in it. You just had to be present to
or
win.
maybe there was only 14 parents and 7 children, but maybe it was something that the whole town voted on. Like maybe it was something the whole town was behind, yet they only needed to use 7 children for whatever reason. So yeah, maybe that could explain it. The whole community, the whole town got, the whole settlement, wherever, because this was centuries ago, apparently. Yeah, maybe they just all got cursed along with the parents. Maybe they were all okay with this sacrifice. But again, it's all stuff that they really need to reveal at some point.
Yeah, and there's famous short stories. It's not quite a trope, but it's very familiar. Where in situations, probably everything from Star Trek on back, where a community is faced with a crisis and they're forced to draw lots to, somebody has to be sacrificed, and you have to draw lots to find out, and that might be why Tabitha and Jade, or Christopher and Miranda, their predecessor, might not have been exactly willing to do it. They got
something that was forced.
They drew the short straw, and they weren't on board with it.
They literally drew the short straw. No, I like that idea. I think that could be very fitting, where this was something that the whole community agreed on doing, but then they had to decide, okay, whose children are actually going to get sacrificed. And yeah, back then you draw a fucking straw, right? No, I like that. I think that could fit as well as anything. But yeah, we need to get an explanation one way or another. We need to get a definitive explanation as to why there was only 14 parents and there's a lot more monsters of varying different ages. So yeah, hopefully we'll find out.
And that'll be a great reveal when it comes, because they are hinting at it. They are giving us a trail of breadcrumbs to follow as far as the origin. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see, even if we know that it's inevitable, that it is coming, it's like seeing a screen adaptation of a book. You want to see if the picture you've drawn in your mind, if how they portray it on film, and that'll be very satisfying when that time comes.
Yeah. And again, it feels like this is going to be the season of reveals, the season where we're going to get a lot, again, not all of them, but it does seem like we're going to get a good amount of reveals this season. And yeah, I'm all for it. I want to see them. I want to see them. But we want to hear from you guys as well in the chat. Let us know, what did you guys think of episode 2? What did you guys think of the trailer for episode 3? In a minute here, I'll play the trailer for episode 3, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into it. I won't play the spoilery trailer for people who maybe don't want to see it. If you do want to see that one, I have it uploaded on my channel. It's the latest video that I just uploaded. And we'll definitely be diving into that. I'm actually working on a video right now breaking all that down. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that towards like the end of the stream. That way, if people don't want to hear it, we'll do it at the end, just before closing out. But for now, we are going to play the episode 3 trailer, the regular episode 3 trailer for From. And we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you. What are some of your predictions heading into episode 3? And of course, or let us know some of your thoughts on episode 2. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were there some scenes you did enjoy, some scenes you didn't? Let us know. Let us know what you guys are thinking and where you think season 4 is going to be going. And yeah, what is up with Victor's sister, right? Victor's sister was a child that died last cycle. And that could very well be the case, that Eloise did die. But I'm still not 100% sure. With how ambiguous they keep leaving this Eloise death thing, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on the Eloise thing. I know a lot of people are expecting to see her at some point on the show. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I know a lot of people are expecting it, at least.
Man, that's one of the few times. I mean, we know that Victor isn't exactly a reliable narrator always, and
Exactly.
his memories change and stuff.
Exactly.
But thing that really hooks me though is that scene where he's there by Miranda's grave and Eloise's grave, and he said,
Mhm.
"I buried her here. She was so small, there wasn't much left." Now,
Exactly. Why say it like that? Why leave it
yeah,
ambiguous like that? It just, I don't,
but
doesn't sit right with me.
even if there wasn't much left, would he not know? I mean, there couldn't have been that many children to bury in the first place.
I guess that's the question. No.
Yeah, and how could he not know? How could he not know that the parts that he was burying weren't his sister? I just
Mhm.
that is one of the few times that I do trust trust what Victor says wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe I'm walking right into the trap then. Maybe I'm gonna be gobsmacked, if she does
Maybe
come strolling down.
maybe we will. Maybe we will. Again, at this point, I'm kind of 50. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if she did show up. And I also won't be surprised if she doesn't show up. That's kind of where I'm at with Eloise now. I would love to see her show up. Like if like what I want to have happen, yeah, I would love to see her show up. I would love to see Victor get to have that reunion with Eloise and for him to realize that, you do still have family around. Because again, I think Henry's going to be a goner pretty soon. And we're going to talk about that right after we watch this episode 3 trailer. Because I think this trailer shows that Henry might be in danger in episode 3.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
know some of the theorists were like bending themselves into pretzels to try to expand the age gap between Victor and Eloise, but I don't think there could have been. If he was 10, she
they look
couldn't have been
very
much less
similar.
than 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if she
yeah.
came back alive, she would be just no more than probably 3
Close to
years
Victor's
younger
age.
than him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you go back and you look at that scene, those kids, the child version of Victor and Eloise. Yeah, I can't see them being more than 2 or 3 years apart in age. They look exactly the same age. So yeah. If Eloise were to show back up and she was alive this whole time, yeah, she's going to be a lot older for sure.
We
For
thought
sure.
we thought the Victor was living rough in the eating canned peaches and hanging out in the box truck, and then in
Mhm.
his imagine poor Eloise like actually living
Just
like
out there
Bear Grylls out
alone.
in the wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, and again, another kind of potential hint could be nothing, but another thing that could be something is we hear Victor say that Eloise was always incredibly good at hiding. Like when Victor was talking about how they used to play hide and seek, he said Eloise was always really good at hiding. And you start to wonder, okay, like has she really been hiding this whole time out there in Fromville somewhere, surviving on her own? Or
Yeah.
did she maybe potentially make it out? I mean, we haven't learned a whole lot about Miranda's death, but we did see that Miranda died right near the bottle tree, like getting right near the bottle tree. Could it potentially be possible that Miranda had time to get Eloise into the faraway tree, but couldn't get herself in there before Smiley descended on her, maybe? And maybe Eloise did make it out. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea where this Eloise thing is going to go. I know there's a lot of good theories out there, but I know, at least based on the comments we get, I know that there are a lot of people that are hoping and expecting Eloise to show up at some point.
That
And
would
as some people say, she might even be a story walker. Some people think she might be a story walker as well.
Yeah, that would
Don't
be
know.
super cool. I mean, and they've done, it's not unknown for this show to do that, to show you a scene, to have it established as canon, and then very much exactly like they did with the reveal of Eloise in the first place. The first few scenes with Miranda and Victor in the root cellar, there was no Eloise. And then poof, his memory puts her
Just
right back into the scene.
right,
Maybe we'll
right.
get a reverse view of that scene right before Smiley gets Miranda, and it will be Miranda pushing her through the tree. I like that idea, man. I think
I mean, I think it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility, if nothing else. That
I don't think it would be a
Miranda
bad
had
one.
time. No, I don't think it would be a bad one, and it would explain the sense of urgency that Smiley had in that scene to run at Miranda instead of walking like they always do. Like the monsters always just walk; they never run at their prey. Yet Smiley fucking took off like he was, a track runner right after her, ran super fast. And maybe that was why. Maybe it was because he had just seen Miranda put Eloise in the tree and he saw that she was going to enter the tree next. But then again, she was kind of like running towards the tree when she got killed by Smiley. So that does lead me to believe that maybe she got killed just as she arrived, and that maybe Eloise is somewhere else entirely. I think that's a little more likely, just because, just thinking back on that scene in my mind, I remember it almost looked like Miranda was maybe looking for the bottle tree, and like she just saw it and was just about to get close to it, and boom, Smiley freaking gets her. So I think it could be one of those two options, or at least those are my two favorite options.
Yeah. Do you think either Man in Yellow or Boy in White erased or buried all of Victor's memories? We talked about this, right? About the kind of like psychic interference kind of thing.
Yep.
And why that might have been why Victor draws everything, because he might have already experienced like some of his memories going away, and he wanted to make sure that he could remember everything.
There's things.
A lot of emphasis on remembering. And some of this stuff wasn't exactly pleasant stuff for him to remember.
A lot of it wasn't, like the massacre. He literally drew the massacre so he could remember it if he ever forgot it. So no, I wouldn't be mad at this if we were to get this reveal and we were to find out that Victor's lack of memories wasn't all 100% trauma based, because trauma can do that to you. I mean, if any kid that goes through that level of trauma, the brain is, has mechanisms in place to protect itself. And that is one of them, for, isolating and throwing these memories into your subconscious so you can survive, so they don't damage you, so they don't cripple you emotionally. So I think, with all the trauma that Victor has been through, him, losing memories isn't outside of the norm. Like, it makes sense, it fits. But then again, this is also Fromville as well. Could there be another possibility where there is another hand at play here? Like, yes, the Man in Yellow or even the Boy in White. Could they be picking memories out of Victor's mind, that they think he shouldn't know? Maybe, I don't know. I think it's a possibility. I like the trauma angle a little bit better, just because I think it really kind of makes Victor a much more interesting and unique character in terms of like just all of the trauma that he has been through and everything that he has had to do to survive everything he's been through and still be upright and make it through every day. And yes, he's super damaged, but he's a survivor. Victor is a survivor at the end of the day. And that's why I love the analogy that Jade gives Henry at the end of season 3, when he says he's Tarzan living in the wild, and you're coming along telling him that he doesn't know how to hold a fork properly. Like, that's kind of how I see Victor as well. Like, he's a survivor. I think a lot of people see him as like a kid trapped in an adult's body, and there is that aspect to him as well. But Victor is a survivor at the end of the day. He, as far as we know, he potentially survived alone here for a very long time with no talismans. That's not just luck. That's not just, hey, I got a little friend named the Boy in White that helped me a little bit here and there. You have to have that survival instinct inside of you to be able to survive that long by yourself here. So I like the angle of it being trauma based, because I think it humanizes Victor a little bit more. But it being more supernatural, like the Man in Yellow or the Boy in White taking away his memories, could also be a possibility.
Well, wouldn't that be just salt in the wound? Because at this point, Victor would have had generation after generation of newcomers demanding of him, what do you remember? Tell us everything you know. Yeah. What do you remember? And it's not that he has it repressed, trauma-based repression. He's literally had it kind of like either scrambled or taken away from him or blocked externally. So, I mean, that would be an additional layer of frustration while he's trying to sort himself out. He's having other people demanding something that he literally can't produce for them.
Maybe. And maybe that's part of the reason why Victor doesn't want to remember. Maybe because he knows somewhere deep down that something or someone has messed with his mind a little bit. I don't know. I think it's an interesting theory, if nothing else. Again, I hope that it's all just trauma based, because again, I like that aspect of Victor the most, but it very well could be something else. Very, very possible. And denial will make you block some memories. Denial, grief, PTSD, all kinds of things can make your subconscious kind of just erase things that it thinks that you don't need to help you survive. It's a defense mechanism ultimately, and it happens to people all the time. But Then again, this is Fromville, so who knows? But we got $5 from Katrina Marie 420. Thank you so much, Katrina Marie. Very, very much appreciated. Speaking of Victor's repressed memories, I'm excited to see how Victor reacts when he remembers the man in yellow. Yeah, I mean, we see that scene in the season 4 trailer that at some point Victor's going to dig up a drawing of the man in yellow, indicating to us that he has some kind of history with him, right? Like he's at least seen him at some point in the past. But yes, in what context is that going to be? And how come Victor's drawing depicts the man in yellow with a smile on his face getting out of a car? Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Once we finally find out what the real history is there, once Victor, whether it's repressed memory that comes back to Victor, or whether seeing that coat just makes him, maybe it's a memory he's always had and seeing the coat just makes him talk about it. I don't know, just based on that new teaser. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing just what kind of history does Victor have with the man in yellow.
Yeah, and when the man in yellow in that picture is smiling, he doesn't look to be menacing or terrible, and it might be one of those situations like happened with Christopher. I mean, the way
or Sophia.
Or Sophia, absolutely. The way Victor described Christopher, he made everybody laugh with his ventriloquist dummy, and then he changed. Then he became bad. Maybe at some point, and that's maybe the man in yellow was always bad, and when he arrived to do bad, or maybe he was just another arrival, another citizen until XYZ happened, and that'll be his origin. We'll get a nice juicy piece of the man in yellow's origin, which will be nice. That leads me to there was a lot of speculation when the man in yellow first put on Sophia's dress, and there was speculation that, well, maybe Victor's going to recognize it. And I mean, yes, that might be possible, but I would think if you're a shapeshifter, you're going to be a little bit cognizant of that, especially when there is at least one survivor from that's been around the whole time. I think it would would be a little too careless for somebody who's supposed to be your really big,
your main villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can see that.
That's almost that's almost like when you're writing short form and you have to tie something up with a bow in like 30 minutes. You'd say, oh, the telltale sign. There were 2 wine glasses on the table, not one. Yeah. So there were 2 people in the room, they weren't alone, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe this is the case. Yeah, Victor needs a hypnotist to arrive in town to, hypnotize him and unlock all of these repressed memories that he's had. I mean, I imagine that could be very dangerous for Victor. And again, I'm not the expert. We do actually have experts in the chat. We call them the From therapists. Here are the From therapists right here. These are legit From therapists, and if they say it's legit, I listen to them. But I imagine if Victor were to get hypnotized and maybe all those memories came flooding back all at once, that could do some damage to his mind as well, I would imagine. But no, I'd love to know what the From therapist in the chat thinks. But, if Victor has all these memories flood back to him all at once, could that potentially be a little dangerous for him? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see, no matter what they choose, whether it's external interference or whether it's all internal trauma. I do wish, at least I wish that they pick one and commit to it. When we find out, I hope it's definitive one way or the other.
Yeah. Me too. I get the feeling it's going to be. It does feel like this is the season for reveals, for answers. Not everything, but a good amount of it. And yes, I have seen the new teaser. It's actually uploaded on my channel. If anybody wants to check it out, I have uploaded the newest teaser on the channel, and we're going to discuss that a little bit towards the end of the stream, just in case people who don't want to see it, because there are some people who don't want to see any more of the trailers and they don't want to get spoiled by what's in that trailer. So I'm going to save that talk for the end of the stream, but we'll definitely talk a little bit about it towards the end. But right now we are about to play the regular episode 3 trailer, the trailer for episode 3 that is coming up this Sunday, well, this Saturday, technically. And then we want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of the episode 3 trailer, and what are some of your predictions heading into episode 3? So without further ado, let's play this beast.
You're getting so close now, but I'm afraid you're running out of time.
You remind me of someone I could have helped. I don't get to get that back.
Are you kidding me? I didn't mean to upset you. I'm sorry. What did you mean to do that? Julie, stop. Finding the lighthouse could be what gets everyone home.
It's not.
I don't know. I'll try something else.
Not if you're dead.
Oof, oof, oof. Lot to unpack there. Lot to unpack there when it comes to the episode 3 trailer. Now we'll start from the beginning and we'll just go towards the end. I mean, the end kind of jumps out to me the most because I feel like I'm really worried for Henry here. Like, I'm really worried that Henry's going to get pushed into this fucking faraway tree by Tabitha and he's going to end up somewhere fucking horrible or worse. So I'm a little worried for Henry here. Like, Tabitha's a little aggressive. She's trying to get past him. Henry's right in front of the faraway tree opening like this, trying to block the fucking thing. He's literally standing there blocking it like Hodor. Hold the door. So Henry's in a very dangerous spot here, guys. Like, I'm a little worried about Henry. Like, Tabitha could push him in, or they could both fall in at the same time. And that's another thing I wonder what would happen. Like, we haven't seen, as far as we've seen up until this point, people enter the faraway tree one at a time. Even when Boyd and Sarah both went in at the same time. Boyd went in at first, and then Sarah went in after him. Same thing with Julie and Victor when they used it after the Colony House massacre. One went in after the other. But we've never seen anything like this where potentially 2 people fall into the tree at the exact same time. Like, if Tabitha accidentally kind of pushes Henry into that freaking tree and he pulls her in with him, I imagine, what could happen? Would they go to different spots? Would they end up in the same spot? Would something, would some kind of fucking paradox happen and it fucking rips the world in half? I don't know. I have no idea. But I think it would be very funny. I think it'd be very funny. Does it split the tree in half? Does it, what happens if 2 people go into this thing at once? But regardless, I'm a little worried for Henry's longevity. Please do not push Henry into that tree, Tabitha. Please do not.
I think, have we seen anybody who has gone through the tree without the boy in white punching their ticket first?
Only
Dale.
Only Dale. Dale is the only one that we've seen step into the tree that wasn't guided by the boy in white or facilitated by the boy in white. Every other time we've seen the tree used, we've seen the trees being used, the boy in white was always involved, except for Dale. And we saw what happened.
Maybe we've seen a scene where people are looking horrified at the pool again. So maybe there's going to be a mural of people in the pool.
God, if Henry ends up in that pool, what if that's like the default exit for people that aren't supposed to go into the tree? Like, they just end up right there in that pool area, and we see Henry just right next to fucking Dale. That would be tragic. That'd be super tragic. But yeah, I mean, Tabitha, let's stop the domestic violence. I mean, I mean, Henry is technically a I mean, there's some weird connections there with Tabitha once being Miranda and Miranda being married to Henry. So there's some weirdness there. I get it. Tabitha is gross with all of her. I mean, what do you guys think here, though, in the chat, and you as well, Raver? Do you think Henry's in danger here? Do you think there's a possibility that she might accidentally, chuck him into the fucking tree?
That might be. I mean, that might be how he goes. I think a lot of people have anticipated that Henry's time on Earth may be short, just because he's become such a, at least, gentle character, such a good character in relation to Victor, and watching that relationship redevelop and all their connections. I mean, again, the same way that we talked about how it would be cruel to have, all the stuff that's happened to Kenny, watching his mom go, his dad go. This would be another just absolute blast to Victor emotional. I mean, getting his dad back just for a hint of time. Because again, we got to think about this timetable. We've been in Fromville less than a month at this point. when you
Yeah, it hasn't
calculate
been
the
too
day and
long.
night cycles. Yeah.
It hasn't been too long that since the Matthews family arrived,
Mhm.
it has not been long at all. Like, it might seem like it's been like a year or so because we've gone through 3 seasons already. But yeah, I imagine it's only been a month, 2 months max.
And then, so the amount of time that Henry's been in the picture, in relation
Even
to
less.
Victor,
Even
yeah.
less.
So,
Yeah.
and then to have that just have the rug pulled from under him again emotionally, yeah, that would be. But again, you might say, well, he's kind of served his purpose. The same thing, same way they said it about
Exactly.
Fatima. She's kind of done everything there is to do narratively. I won't really sugarcoat it. That was, how I mentioned at the beginning of the show that there were some bad parts. Man, Tabitha, between the actress and the role written for her, I think the role is too big for the actress, and even the
Okay.
writing for the role, she does things and says things that are just, for some reason, they grate on me. They rub me the wrong way. And I think that's kind of like shaded my entire perception of her. She's not quite to the point where I fast forward because I do have to kind of, at least for the show, I have to listen to what she's saying and that kind of stuff. But sometimes I just can't really. I don't know if the between the actress and the way the character itself is written, it just, and then I'm seeing more and more on this,
Not your favorite performance.
Yeah, and her role is increasing. Her role is becoming more prominent to the show. So it's like, man, there's something that I already don't really care for, and now that role is expanding, it's increasing. And it's like,
Okay.
oh my gosh, it's like, oh, I don't know.
Okay.
But you're kind of resigned to it because, I mean, you play the cards you're dealt, and that's what we've got is her being this way. One thing that got me was when she's all in love with Jim, and she's eulogizing him and talking to him and stuff. And even that, I hate. Back in season 1,
I wasn't a big fan of that dialogue. PM and I talked a little bit about that too. I believe she shared a similar opinion. I don't want to speak for her. But we were talking a little bit about that scene, and the dialogue could have been a little better for Tabitha, for that scene when she's, giving Jim that eulogy. Like you said, she has that one-on-one with Jim. She's talking to him. Yeah, that dialogue could have been a lot better for sure.
Yeah. Back in season 1, when Fatima was explaining her relationship with Ellis to Julie, she said, oh, Ellis, he's my person. And I was like, I hated that phrase. I hated that description. Just, it was like, say it any other way, but, oh, Ellis, he's my person. Because she was smooching up on that other girl. And I was like, oh, I hated that phrase back when Fatima said it. And I hoped with all my life that I'd never hear it again. And here's Tabitha. You were my person.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, again, it's, I get what they were going for, the mood was right, the tone was right. I get what they were going for. It's just the dialogue. The dialogue could have been tweaked a little bit where it would have come across a little bit better, I think. But that's just
I took that as a personal attack. It was a personal attack on me.
Yeah.
They put in something I hated.
Yeah. And yeah, as PM said, I think Henry's going to get pushed into the tree and then he will die, and that's going to trigger Victor to go back and try and chop the tree down again. And I think that could very well be a possibility. I mean, if this tree causes the death of Henry right after he just got reunited with Victor, and we've already seen Victor isn't too fond of these trees already. He already tried taking an axe to it once. Yeah, I could definitely see this being the case. If Tabitha, and I could see that being a way of Victor blaming the tree and maybe not blaming Tabitha, I guess. Because, if Tabitha pushes Henry into this tree and he dies as a result, I mean, Tabitha, bears just as much responsibility, if not more, than the tree itself does. So, but I think for Victor, maybe that could be a way for him to kind of justify it in his mind, for him to blame the tree instead of Tabitha, maybe, and make him that much more raged towards the tree to try and chop it down. But yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see him wanting to go back there and finish off the job if that happens.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the boy in white can stand there and say stop or whatever, but ultimately, at the end of the day, Victor's the one holding the axe. Yeah, I'm holding that axe. You ain't telling me anything.
Yeah. And that's a good question. You know, what exactly would the boy in white have done if Victor turned around and said, "No, I'm not stopping," and he just kept going? Like, I wonder what the boy in white would have done. What can he physically do, I guess? Right. But speaking of the boy in white, let's transition from Henry over to the boy in white, shall we? We'll go back to the beginning of the trailer. And the trailer starts off with this scene of Henry and Tabitha at the bottle faraway tree, and we see the boy in white himself show up. Although, as we've been saying, he's certainly not the boy in white anymore. This is the grown man in white. This is the Benjamin Button in white. Yeah. The teen.
He's been divorced twice.
Least,
he's
at the very least, the teen in white. He's no boy in white anymore. And
fatty
again,
liver disease.
And again, I know how they wrote an explanation into the show as to why the boy in white is aging, and I get that, they cast the actor, whenever you cast child actors on a long running series, you always run into stuff like this where they grow up fast. So at least for continuity purposes, at least they kind of put an explanation into the show as to why the boy in white is now aging when he never did. But someone mentioned in the comments the other day, and I totally agree. I forget who said it, so I'm so sorry, but I totally agree with you when you said they should have just recast the boy in white. Something about him looking older just doesn't give the character that same kind of mystical feeling that he had. And on a certain degree, I kind of agree with that. When I look at this boy in white, he just doesn't have that same kind of mystical feel as they did in season 1 and 2. So yeah, I think, instead of kind of putting some explanation into the show as to explain why he's aging, and again, hindsight's always 20/20, of course. But in hindsight, I think recasting this character would have been a lot better, because I just think the character works a lot better as a boy.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole point of casting a child actor, having this immense power or this unknown power in the guise of a child. And there's, you could always speculate, well, maybe he isn't really, well, I mean, as Sarah said, he's not a boy. That was,
I don't think he's a boy.
The crux of the character. Yeah,
exactly.
He's more than what he appears, but now he's kind of appearing like what he might be, as he ages. And it wouldn't have even been incongruous with the way the show works for him to appear as a different little boy. He might just be a random boy. I mean, his physical form may not necessarily be the most important thing, as long as it's a boy of X age.
Exactly. Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, let's get here to this. We got Mr. Flo, $1.99 for a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Mr. Flo. Very much appreciate you. Could the man in yellow have possessed or influenced Boyd's wife to go on the rampage that led to him putting her down? Ooh, man. I like this. I like this theory. And I think absolutely that is possible. I mean, it seems like when people arrive here in Fromville, I mean, is it just Fromville itself? Is it just being in this place itself that causes people to kind of snap? Or is there a little bit more of a sinister quality to it? Is something making these people kind of lose it? And yeah, I think that could totally be possible, where the man in yellow, or maybe something else, probably the man in yellow, though I think the man in yellow is the best bet. Yeah, I think it's very possible that he maybe could have influenced Abby's mind to doing something like that. Just like he's maybe tried to influence other people's minds that have gotten stuck here to do other bidding of his. So yeah, I do often wonder that, like, is it just being in this place alone? Because we hear from Kenny, people that arrive here, people that aren't able to, adapt to this place end up breaking. But what exactly are they trying to adapt to is the question. Is it just being here in this place has that just sinister quality to it? Or is there something a little bit more deliberate that is happening with making these people lose it?
Right. I wonder if, the same thing happened to Sarah. Maybe certain people every now and again, they just are able to pick up the right wavelength to hear this stuff in her mind.
Kimono creature.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's another fork in the road. They can go with Man in Yellow being a person in the town talking to to Abby, and then some of the things that they say just in a what looks like an innocuous discussion or whatever might put the seed in her mind, and then she goes with it. Or they could just be inside her brain pounding away and until
Like
she
Sarah.
does something. Yeah, just like, and I mean, I don't think Sarah was bad. I think if there's something in your head, again and again, and constantly telling, and then rephrasing it and framing it so that it makes a little bit of sense. And that's, we had talked about that in relation to Sophia before we knew Sophia was the man in yellow, that maybe she could be influenced, or maybe they could talk to her. And but it's one of those things where you get worn down over time. This horrific act, this diabolical, horrible act that you would never in normal circumstances ever even consider as a possibility. It gets rephrased, it gets reframed, it gets shaped in a way that, well, if this is the only way, I have to do a bad thing to affect a greater good.
Get everyone out. One life against many.
A classic, conundrum. Do you do it? And everybody has a different answer, and everybody, and it's easy to sit in a chair and say, well, I would never do such a thing. There's nothing. But
until you're faced with it.
Over time, over days, over nights, over sleepless nights, nightmares, dreams, and you hear it again. And clearly the voices were sentient. They were working with an agenda. And they seem to, and that's the other side of it when you're talking about spiritual things, is they have infinite time. They have all the time in the world to work on you.
Not just time, but knowledge, it seemed. And it seemed like knowledge is how they kind of eventually ended up getting Sarah to do their bidding. Because it seemed like, very similar with Father Cautry, the voices had to kind of like prove to Cautry that they knew things that they shouldn't know. Information that they should not know they knew, like how Cautry buried the bag. I get the feeling they did something similar with Sarah, where over an extended period of time, they showed Sarah that they knew things that they shouldn't know, that Sarah knows they shouldn't know, but they know it anyway. I think over time that convinced her that, okay, these voices clearly know things they shouldn't know. Maybe they are trying to help. That with the added manipulation of her brother. This is the only way to save your brother.
They touched the exact right button.
The right button.
And they have all the time in the world to discover that too. They find your pressure point, and what each person, it would be different, but they have all the time in the world to learn it and then make a plan and then put it into effect and use it against these people. So but circling back to this, in terms of the man in yellow potentially influencing Abby, that maybe it's not just this place. Maybe it was a little bit more deliberate, that the man in yellow potentially made her go crazy. I think that's definitely at the very least a possibility. And definitely on the table. Definitely on the table.
And thank you, Mr. Flo, for the $5. We also have a new member of the channel, Rough Girl 1776. Thank you so much, Rough Girl, for becoming a member of the channel. And of course, members have access to all of the custom Fromville emojis, which we love making. And of course, if anyone has any requests for some new ones, you guys know the drill. Leave your requests in the comment section after the stream, and we will definitely get them made. As promised, got the newest request made. The PM philosophy emoji is officially there. But thank you so much, Rough Girl, for becoming a member of the channel. And a $2 super chat. Wow, thank you. Very, very much appreciate that. Will Ethan break bad because of mean Tabitha? Ooh, interesting. I think so. Yes, and I think we're already seeing it. I think we're already seeing the start of Ethan breaking bad, just for the very sense of him sneaking out and going to the RV without telling anyone. So yeah, I think with Jim now dead, because again, one thing that I think the show did very, very cleverly was setting up the reveal of Jim's body getting discovered. we see that they come outside and we see this misdirect, this huge misdirect on the motel freaking sign, where you see this bloody bag hanging from the motel sign. A lot of us knew that there was going to be some kind of animal in it, just because they kind of spoiled that before the show started with that one picture they released. They probably never should have released that picture. So a lot, some of us who saw that picture knew that it was going to be an animal inside. But I think a lot of us were wondering, okay, what exactly is this a misdirection for? And a lot of people had some really good theories. A lot of people were theorizing that Jim's body was going to get found in the barn, and it was right. But I love how they did the reveal and how they set it up. They come outside and Tabitha instantly sees this thing up there and thinks, okay, it's got to be Jim. It could be Jim anyway. So she sends her kids away to spare them having to see Jim's dead body, only for them to be the ones that discover Jim's dead body when they open the barn. That is good writing. That was a very good piece of writing, I thought, on John Griffin's part and his writing team, setting it up that way to have the children be the one to discover Jim's body and the trauma that they're going to have to deal with for having to see that, because Jim was mangled. Jim was a mangled mess. You could barely recognize him. They did a really good job on the effects. But I just love the way that they set that up, where we see Tabitha, trying to spare her children of this, and inadvertently sending her children right into it. If I was Tabitha, I would have sent the children inside. I would have said, kids, go inside, stay inside. Don't go to the barn. Why are you telling them to go to the barn? I mean, you've got something hanging from the motel sign. Who knows what else is out there? Why are you sending these kids to the barn? Send them inside. But again, I love that they did it that way, because, Tabitha trying to spare the kids that is inadvertently ended up what caused the kids to see that little twist of fate, very cruel irony, I guess you could say. So I thought that was a really good reveal, having the kids find the body in that manner, not just like stumbling on it random. Them literally being guided there by Tabitha makes it that much more devastating.
Yeah, I bought into the excuse too. Check on the animals. It's one thing to put them in the house and have them sit idle, doing nothing. But hey, here's that's a way to get kids to accept it. Here's a useful purpose. Here's something you can do. Be useful. You guys go check on the animals, and then it does take them away and puts them where they need to be. But they spent so much time on that bag hanging. From Boyd up at Colony House with the binoculars, spotting it just randomly. He's just scanning and then they built the tension again and again. The townsfolk standing there, nobody else nobody else who was standing around looking, thought to lower the rope down or to that was all saved up just for that dramatic moment. And they spent a lot of time on that bag, and I was like, wow, this is not that it would dragged on, but they gave it a lot of screen time to build up that tension. So then here's Julie with her scream, and it's like, oh shit. Because I think when we were talking about episode 2, or before the episode, I was thinking that they'd do a search party and go looking around randomly here and there, and then discover it towards the end. But they jumped right into it, man. They gave us the Jim reveal right away. Very, very solid. Very solid writing, very good storytelling, and it kind of
not dragging things out. And I like that. I like that. Same thing with the whole Sophia reveal in episode 1. They could have dragged that out if they wanted to, but by the end of episode 1, we know very clearly the man in yellow is here. He's a shapeshifter, and he's turned into Sophia to infiltrate the town. Like, I like how they didn't drag that out. And again, I don't think they really have time to drag things out anymore. This is the beginning of the end. This isn't setup time. And it's easy to drag things out for the first 3 seasons, because those first 3 seasons are setup. That is setup material. Now we're in the time to pay things off phase of the story. So I don't think they have time to drag things out anymore. They're going to have to move a little bit more rapidly. And they are. Again, 2 episodes in, and the pacing has been a lot more steady than any of the previous seasons.
Yeah, and it bodes well for what the rest of the episodes offer.
It gives me a good feeling. Yeah, it gives me a good feeling for the rest of the season, that if we've already gotten all this in just the first 2 episodes, what else are we going to get? And that's another thing that leads me to believe, when we look at all these trailers, and even the newest one that we got today, when we look at all of the footage from all of the trailers that they have put out, it does still look like most of it is all from just the first half of the season. And they haven't even shown us any footage from the second half of the season yet. I mean, that's what they do every season usually. Yeah. So yeah, if we're getting all this quick, and if all the trailer material that we've seen is only from the first 5 or 6 episodes, then yeah, I can only imagine what the second half of the season is going to look like. It's going to be crazy. It's already crazy. So I like the pacing. I like the sped up pacing that we're getting this season. Not pacing in terms of like tone of the show, but in terms of answers and reveals and, you know, plot progression.
Yeah. And I loved that we did get bamboozled by the trailer again. They did it with Chen Chen. And the Boyd and Elgin scene where it was like, I'll make sure it does. See, I heard it. Everybody heard. I will make sure it doesn't. You know, what if the truth will come out? You know, Elgin says, and I will make sure it doesn't. Well, they skipped the part. You know, they selectively cut out the part, and he said, "If I were you, I would
make sure it doesn't." They get us. They get us. They do. They bamboozle us every once in a while, and that's what's fun about the trailers. You know, you see the trailer and you think, oh man, it really spoiled it for me, and then you see the actual episode and it's like, holy shit, it didn't spoil it for me. They went somewhere totally different, and I can appreciate that. I mean, sometimes I think they show a little too much in some of their trailers, but you know, I appreciate moments like that where you think it's one thing and it's something totally different.
Yeah, I love how that scene resolved. I love how that scene resolved. You know, the thing is, I mean, no matter how frustrated I get at certain points, Harold Perrineau is the rock that this whole show is built on. You know, I can like different characters or different actors more or less, but man, that guy he's just so rock solid.
He's the backbone of the show. Victor, I think Scott McCord and Victor are the heart and soul of the show. But Harold Perrineau is very much the backbone of the show. Like, he steers the ship. I imagine most of the actors and actresses probably take their tone and their cue from him. You know, because when you have an actor like Harold on set, and we've heard some of the actors, you know, say similar things like this, that, you know, he's the leader. You know, he's the veteran on set, main character, first on the call sheet. And, you know, that kind of actor can set the tone for other actors to really kind of raise their performance as well. When you see your main character, your main actor just putting 120% into every scene they film, how can you as secondary characters do anything less? And I've heard that from many actors that, you know, they feed off that. They feed off that kind of that main actor kind of putting down that kind of energy, I guess. And Harold Perrineau just seems like one of those guys that's so fun to work with. Like, he just seems so cool, so down to earth. Like, he's a mega star, of course, but you would never guess that, you know, when you see him in some of his interviews and stuff. He's just acts like a regular dude. So I imagine it's so fun working with him, but even more so, I imagine it's very rewarding especially for some of the younger actors and actresses to work with someone like Harold and really kind of learn what it takes to run a show like this, to be a main character on a show like this. It's going to help them throughout their careers, I imagine. But we got Rough Girl for another $10. Wow, thank you so much, Rough Girl 1776 for the $10. I feel that Marielle, Marion, Julie, and Randall all have to get together and with their individual powers to help everyone from safety and beat the spider, the power of 3. Now, this is one thing I do really want to figure out what is going on. We have seen that ever since Julie came back from her trip being trapped in that dungeon, in Martin's dungeon, we've seen Julie's story walking abilities have manifested. Or maybe she's had them the whole time and they were just dormant and this, you know, woke them up. I don't know. But a lot of people have been wondering this exact same thing. What exactly is going on with Marielle and Randall? Are Marielle and Randall also going to have similar powers or different powers, some kind of power? Are they going to find that they have some kind of ability that they can, you know, use as well? And I feel like it could go either way. I mean, you know, it seems very interesting that only Julie is. You know, if it did originate from what happened to them with the cicadas, then yeah, you would think that maybe Randall and Marielle would also have something extra inside of them, just like Julie does. But I don't know. I mean, could Julie's story walking abilities have come from being a daughter of Tabitha, with Tabitha being a reincarnation of one of the original parents? Could these story walking abilities have been hereditary, passed down through that line, or did she get them with her encounter with the cicadas, I guess is the question. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people ask this, and a lot of people are wondering what is up with Randall and Marielle. Will they develop powers? And I'd love to know what you guys think in the chat, and you as well, Ravener. Do you think we'll see Randall and Marielle develop something similar or different to Julie, where they have some kind of supernatural ability? Or is this just Julie alone, and that maybe she's always had the ability and it was just dormant?
Man, well, I mean, I always felt that the story walking thing, I kind of joked about, Ethan just pulling it out of his ass and announcing it like it's a common thing, in relation to Julie. However, the way they do callbacks to previous things, they can't just abandon that connection with that Marielle and Randall had as far as the cicadas. They can't abandon. I think it would be interesting if their power or their abilities or whatever they derived from that cicada encounter. And it wasn't just a one-off, especially for Randall. I mean, he was still having cicadas come out of him even when he was being attacked by the monsters and stuff. I would like to see something happen. I actually, and as much as I'm down on Tabitha, I was always down on Julie too. I always thought she was one of the weak links, and she's actually doing a little better this season as her role expands. And I'm like, some of her facial expressions are still a little wonky, but all in all, I'm kind of digging the character. Another aspect that I really like is, they did it with Julie and they're doing it with Sophia. They're casting these, much older girls to play girls that they have to, you would never guess, if you sit there and guess their age, you would never be able to guess their age unless they literally say it out loud from another character. This person is 16, this person is 15 or 16. But the only thing probably I like about that is that by making them that young, it takes away any of the shipping, the seduction aspect, the romantic aspect. They're not going to pair up. So right now I'm accepting Randall as, the big brother figure.
I think that's pretty clear. Randall's very much playing a big brother role to Julie. Yeah.
And he was a very interesting character in contrast to Acosta, because Acosta is just an unpleasant person 24/7, not likable in any way, and that's a testament to the actress and the way the character is being written. But she is just nasty and unpleasant, and nobody would want to be around her. And
Tabitha?
No, Acosta.
Oh, Acosta. Okay. I mean, she has been very pleasant. No, she has not been very pleasant. But one thing that does look pretty interesting is the scene we get of Acosta in this episode 3 trailer, actually. And the one that we get between her and Boyd. It's pretty profound. So let's dive into Acosta more in 1 minute. Because I really want to get your take on this and wonder where this is going. Because before I saw this episode 3 trailer, I thought Acosta's storyline was heading in one direction. After seeing this trailer, now I'm not so sure. I am not so sure anymore. But
up to this point, for me, up to this point, Acosta is just unpleasant, nasty, never misses a chance to be unpleasant to anybody who tries to be nice to her, confrontational.
She's the worst.
And we didn't, Randall was kind of a punk when he first arrived. He was confrontational. He was hard-headed. He was obstinate. He was an unpleasant character also, but he also had that undercurrent of being a good guy, because he was also, when the house collapsed, he was the first one to jump in to start helping. So it was like, this guy's a punk when you talk to him, but underneath,
when
he might be a solid dude.
Yeah, like when it really, really comes to people putting up or shutting up, Randall puts up. He does. He puts up. He gets out there and he helps, and sometimes at great danger to himself, like he did with Jim trying to dig Tabitha out, like he did trying to get the tools in the bus so they could get Tabitha uncuffed when she got back to freaking Fromville after Acosta fucking left her for dead, and Henry. So yeah, Acosta fucking is, Acosta is, she's got a lot of brownie points she needs to make up.
Right. So you're saying there's a layer to her onion coming up?
Well, we're gonna, I want to look at that right here in 1 second and get your opinion and everybody in the chat's opinion. But just to close things up on the Boy in White. It's good that he's making an appearance. I wasn't expecting the Boy in White to show up, and probably till a little bit later on. Usually he doesn't show up at the beginning of seasons, with the exception of season 1, of course. If you look at season 2 and 3, the Boy in White doesn't show up until the end of the season usually. So I'm glad that we're seeing him a little bit earlier. It's telling me that, again, the plot progression is going to continue to move at a steady rate. But we hear him say something pretty interesting here. He says, "You guys are getting close, but you're almost out of time. You're running out of time." And that tells me that this cycle is very much close to coming to an end. And I get the feeling every cycle ends with a massacre. The massacre is the big fucking reset button, and that starts another cycle up. Once you kill this Jade and this Tabitha, another Jade and Tabitha are born, and the cycle starts all over again once they get pulled into Fromville, probably 30 years later. But hearing the Boy in White say that they are out of time, they're running out of time, but they're also very close. Again, it looks like it's going to come down to the wire in terms of whether or not they can fend off this massacre that I definitely think is coming. But yeah, Boy in White is very much the teen in white, the Benjamin Button in white, and it'll be interesting to see, the rest of this scene. We only get this little snippet of it, but I'm looking forward to seeing this scene in its entirety. But over to Acosta, like you were mentioning, we do, the trailer continues, and I'll play this scene real quick from the episode 3 trailer again, just in case anybody hasn't seen it. We get a very, very interesting scene between Acosta and Boyd, and we hear Boyd say something that I certainly was not expecting. I certainly never expected that Boyd viewed Acosta, of all people, in this way. Check this out.
You remind me of someone I could have helped. I don't get to get that back.
You remind me of someone I could have helped. And then, of course, it cuts right to the day Abby shot the whole town up and Boyd couldn't save her. Now, this was a big reveal, just in the sense of never in a million years would I have thought that Boyd would have looked at Acosta and saw his wife. Never in a million years. But then again, once I started looking a little bit deeper at it, you start to realize, okay, there are some similarities here. Not only is Acosta very much not adapting to this place very well, like she's very much starting to lose it, like Abby was starting to lose it, but Acosta and Abby both literally showed up shooting up the whole fucking town. Abby did it, and so did Acosta. Acosta was shooting up the whole fucking town when she arrived, and she killed fucking poor Nikki. Yeah. So there are some similarities there, but on a more serious note, I thought this was interesting. Because again, I definitely thought Acosta's storyline in season 4 was going to be her, trying to drive a wedge between Boyd and the rest of the town. Her and Boyd just drifting further and further apart. But could this potentially be a sign that maybe Acosta and Boyd might not go down that road? Maybe it's not going to be Acosta that's going to be causing this divide in town. It's going to be maybe a little bit more Sophia. I mean, when I see Boyd say, "You remind me of someone that I couldn't save," and then we see this flashback of his wife, that tells me that somewhere deep down, Boyd really wants to save Acosta because she reminds him of his freaking wife. So I think this is going to be a very interesting kind of turning point for their characters. This scene that we see them here, it looks like they're in the basement of Colony House, maybe. When they're actually having this debate, when they're actually having this discussion, it looks like the basement of Colony House, maybe, or the root cellar. Okay. But I think this is very interesting. I think this could potentially be a turning point where I thought Acosta was just going to be a major thorn in Boyd's side the whole season. But could this conversation potentially change that? Could we see a different direction for Acosta's character now that we're seeing that Boyd feels like he almost has a personal stake in saving her? I couldn't save my wife, but maybe I can save you.
Yeah, this is an interesting scene just to know that they're having it. As you'd mentioned earlier, there's the ongoing idea that the people that can't bend end up breaking, and there's, that's a definite parallel between, Abby and Acosta. With what I know of Acosta's character, I mean, I could see this being one of those misdirections where, he's like, you remind me of somebody that I could have helped. And the next words out of her mouth was, I don't need your effing help, or something like that.
True. Very true.
That's what I see out of her.
Very true.
But it
Very
also,
true. When I see this look on her face, this almost looks like a look of just this one little look on her face. It almost looks like she's being receptive towards it, but she might not be. She might not be. She might, a big "fu" might come out of her mouth in that scene.
But it really does. If more than anything, it speaks to how Boyd isn't letting his loss of Abby go. He's still seeking redemption for something that wasn't his fault. That was, as we talked in the past about impossible decisions, where he's faced with a decision where both options are bad, and that was, number one for Boyd, is having to choose Abby to save Ellis. So obviously, and it's nice that we all know that he's living with that, and we all know that it's in either the back of his mind or the forefront of his mind pretty much at all times. But it's nice to have him, flat out. It's nice when the characters just say this stuff out to emphasize how relevant it is to that character, even up to the current moment in the show. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And like you said, her soft look in her face, it would be interesting. This is clearly an olive branch on Boyd's part, because they've had, just in this previous episode, he threw up against the ambulance and cuffed her, and she didn't really resist. That's pretty provocative. Even if I'm in the wrong, if somebody kind of like roughs you up and cuffs you, even if you're in the wrong, even if you have it coming,
you're going to feel a certain type of way towards that person. Absolutely.
Yeah. So for a hardhead like her, for a character like her, who's universally unpleasant, for her to put all that aside, that would catch me off guard. That would be an arc. That would be a layer of that onion that I am not expecting. But again, I'm glad the scene is happening. Yeah.
Me too. I think if nothing else, it definitely it gives Acosta's character at least two different directions going forward. The direction where she continues to be a thorn in Boyd's side, or now there's this other possibility where, as Diana and other people in the chat say, maybe she could potentially become an asset at some point. I don't know. Yeah, I think they're setting her up to be another solid person in town like Donna or Kenny. And again, it could end up going that way. It very well could.
Do you think they've let it simmer long enough? Do you think she's sufficiently disliked? She's by me, she's very disliked.
I think she's sufficiently disliked. Yes, by the fans, by people there.
Right, but like a reverse heel turn, like a good turn, will be impactful.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Is it too soon for like a redemption arc? Does she need to kind of go off the rails a little bit more before she finally realizes that she is off the rails? And maybe that's a possibility as well. Maybe this is just the start of her getting that seed planted in the back of her head that maybe she can be more. Maybe she was wrong about Boyd. But yeah, I think that's a very, at least valid question. Is it a little too soon for her to turn good guy already? Yeah, I think that's a valid question.
Yeah. And I think we might, I just have this creeping sense down my spine that I'm getting bamboozled, because I think there's a lot more to this scene, probably before and after the clip that we're getting.
Exactly. That's what's so fun about these trailers is we get this little bit and we dissect it, and then once you get the full scene in its full context, sometimes it's just fucking totally different. So yeah, I like that. But we got Katrina 420 for another $10. Thank you so much, Katrina, for the 10. Very, very much appreciate that. Yes, tying Jim up like the Hanged Man was crazy. Not the first time the tarot cards have been mentioned. And last time we saw tarot, it attracted Crow. There's something about the Man in Yellow plus Crows plus the tarot. There could be. There very well could be. Like you said, we did see the tarot cards pop up in season 3. And yeah, just as they're getting ready to freaking read them, in comes a crow spoiling the fun. So yeah, I mean, I think there's no, I don't think it's a coincidence that Jim was strung up the way that he was strung up. I think it serves two different purposes. One, it serves the purpose of portraying him as the hanged man, as you mentioned, the hanged man that we see in tarot. And of course, it also serves the purpose of, fulfilling the foreshadowing of Tabitha finding Jim strung up like that at the top of the lighthouse in her vision in season 1. So I feel like it serves both of those functions where, yes, Jim is very much a symbolic kind of gesture of the hanged man in that scene, while also kind of, fulfilling the foreshadowing of Tabitha finding him strung up like that. So I think it serves both purposes for sure. And in terms of like the man in yellow having some kind of connection to the crows, that's something that we definitely need to learn a little bit more of. Hell, we know nothing about these crows like that. I mean, the crows have been a very kind of big part of the show in terms of like the imagery, but in terms of the crows actually playing a role in the actual narrative, that hasn't really happened yet. The only time that happened is that one scene that you just mentioned, the tarot card scene when the crow flies into the window and stops them from reading tarot. But other than that, the crows have really just been kind of background aesthetic up until this point. And part of me starts to wonder if we're never going to get a deeper answer as to what the crows are really there for. Maybe it's just in there to make this place seem a little more creepy. Maybe it's just there for aesthetic purposes. Yep. But again, they put such a heavy emphasis on these crows in a lot of these scenes in terms of like really zooming in and making sure we as the audience see the crows. And it looks like they are going to be showing up for the funeral. So yeah, I mean, if the crows are going to play a larger role in the show, I hope that we get something on that this season, because again, we know nothing about these crows still. But yeah, could there be a connection to the man in yellow? That's possible. Very possible.
Yeah. And we really don't even know the entirety of the man in yellow skill set.
Of his abilities.
We're learning. Yeah.
Exactly. We have no idea
learning about him. Now, back when Tilly was doing the tarot and people were very, very into it. I'm familiar with it. I know how it works. I know how the cards work in relation to each other and stuff. I don't read them or
yeah, I'm not an expert myself.
So I actually talked to Kiwi Skirt about it, just candidly saying, do you think that, because everybody wants this to be the key, the key to the whole show is in the tarot cards and this and that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. And I had this suspicion, but I didn't want to. Again, I always feel like I don't know if I'm out on my own. So I kind of cross-reference to make sure that the way I'm thinking makes sense. And I said, do you think it's just because just like when you add crows, when you add tarot, even if it's not significant, the adding of tarot cards brings an aesthetic to the show, a little, a bit of supernatural, a bit of, something beyond, like the ability to attain hidden knowledge, at least, even if it doesn't pay off, because we never actually saw what card Tilly turned over for Fatima.
Very true.
And I thought, well, maybe that was just a device. I thought it might have been a set designer device, or some kind of a story writing device where they introduced this supernatural aspect, for want of a better term. And I think that might be this again. It harkens back. We've talked about that a lot. How certain things like the runes on the talismans, there's Native American aesthetic, there's Norse rune aesthetic. But it's not. I don't feel that it's significant. I think it's evocative of things. It reminds you of things that you've encountered in the past.
I think they're more symbolic rather than like actually going to be plot points.
Yeah. And it definitely puts you, when you see this kind of stuff, when they visualize the hanged man of the tarot in the actual show, you cannot help but be reminded of this. It brings it to mind. It evokes that imagery in your mind and all your personal interpretation of what that image means. And now you're seeing it again. Exactly. So I do like that they had tarot in Tilly's scene, and I do like that they're recalling it here. I don't know. I am very extremely skeptical that there's significance, regarding like somebody will be able to sit down with a tarot deck and quote unquote figure it out.
Yeah, no,
but it's definitely evocative, and it was a good scene. It was a powerful. I mean, when rather than just having them splayed on the ground, kind of like how Tien Chen was, this is a different way. They show you a death, and then they show, and that's one thing this show does so masterfully is even when scenes are interrupted, they'll do it in a different way so they don't go to the well too many times. This one, they had to show you a dead body, they had to show you the XYZ, and they did it in a different way. They did it differently than Tien Chen. It's not exactly the same. Now he's he's hung upside down, he's posed, he still has the chest mutilation and the ribs spread apart and all that stuff consistent, to make the townsfolk believe that it's the monsters that did it. But very evocative imagery, and it's very good for gore. I mean, these are the people that are letting us get an up close macro view of Elgin's eye getting stitched up. They're not they've never been shy about showing a little bit of gore and whatnot. So I thought it was a very, very powerful scene. I'm just very hesitant to apply an excessive amount of significance to his positioning as a hangman.
Yeah, I think him being positioned and looking like the hangman is just symbolic. I don't think there's going to be like a deeper meaning as to why Jim was hung up like that. I think a lot of that stuff is just symbolic. And like you said, sometimes it might not even, the writers might not even mean for it to be symbolic. We just associate certain symbols and certain things with certain things, like you said. So yeah, people that are very familiar with the Hanged Man, when they see that scene, they're going to think about the Hanged Man. Someone who doesn't know anything about tarot at all is going to look at that scene and probably think, oh, that's foreshadowing. That was the foreshadowing that we saw at the beginning of the season when Tabitha saw Jim hung upside down at the top of the lighthouse. So it really is a matter of your kind of experience and how you kind of interpret these things. But whether, what the writers intend for us to see is hard to know sometimes with scenes like that. Right. But I thought but this is pretty interesting here from Xavier, and I'd love to get everybody's opinion on this, because we very well could be heading for a darker ending than we think. I mean, I think that's very much a possibility. Xavier says, who else wants to see the town win and no one else escape? It's happened 8 times already. Only this time we, the fans, get to watch it play out this time. Yeah, we saw 8 different dates indicating potentially 8 different cycles. So now we're at this one, and yes, we as the audience, we want to assume, or we at least want to hope that some of our characters are going to make it out, that this might have a not completely bitter ending, but a bittersweet ending where some of our characters make it and some don't. But who knows? This is From at the end of the day. Would you guys be okay with seeing an ending like that? As Xavier asks, would you guys be okay with seeing an ending like that where it ended where everyone died? Or do you want to see a more of a mixed ending where some people make it and some people don't? I mean, of course I want to see some characters make it out. Like Kenny's one of the characters I really want to see make it. I feel like Kenny's grown so much as a character. Victor's one of those characters I really want to see make it. Just after everything that Victor's been through, if anyone deserves a happy ending, it's fucking Victor. And Boyd too. I mean, I don't think Boyd's going to get the happy ending, but after everything Boyd has been through, I feel like if anyone deserves peace, it's fucking Boyd too. But who knows? I mean, could we be heading for a darker ending where maybe they don't make it out? We're assuming they're going to, because that's usually how stories go. Good triumphs over evil. But, at this day and age where storytelling is becoming a lot more nuanced and we're not always seeing the kind of cookie cutter hero story where good versus evil and good always wins, I suppose anything is possible, I guess, on a show like this where maybe the town does win. Maybe the man in yellow does win. Maybe nobody makes it out. Is that an ending that you would be disappointed with?
No, that would probably, that might etch the show in history as unique.
It's a big risk, but big reward, right? Yeah.
Because we'll already have gone through the roller coaster in season 5, and I think we'll get some people, if that pans out like you're describing, like Xavier's describing. If it happens like that, still go through all the roller coaster where some people, some people die dramatically, some people sacrifice themselves, and then, say it's Kenny and maybe 2 other people get out. Okay, they get out, the show's not going to end. They're going to, smash cut to, 3 months later, and Kenny, from his experiences in here, he decides to be a deputy sheriff in some town or something, and they're showing each different person living their mundane lives in the real world, having assimilated and gone back to the real world, back to a normal. And Kenny gets a call as a deputy, hey, go out to Route 287, and he's driving out to Route 287, and there's a tree in the road.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a very, what a gotcha kind of screwed up ending. And we discussed a similar one on our stream. PM Golden Child and I were talking about an interesting, Golden Child had an interesting comment that added to it that I thought was brilliant. As much as I don't think Boyd's going to live, I don't think Boyd's going to get that happy ending. But putting that aside, if Boyd were to survive and get it out, I mean, wouldn't it be like such a badass fucking scene if the final scene of the show is Boyd finally making it out, finally making it to that boat, and just sailing off into that new house that he and his wife are about to move into. And the last piece of dialogue we get is Boyd turning around and saying, "Told you you wouldn't break me. You don't break me." And that's boom, cut to black. That's the last thing we hear. Boyd made it out. And his last declaration, "Told you you wouldn't break me," and he fucking makes it. Only
song,
for him.
If I Had a Boat song.
That could be a great ending right there in and of itself. But then Golden Child added something to it that made it even crazier. Boyd thinks he gets out. He turns around, does the whole "told you you didn't break me." Then he turns around and sees the lighthouse and realizes he's still back in Fromville.
Oh no! Yeah, see that would be such a gut punch, gut punch. Because they would have already resolved the story with a happy ending for a few people. All the gut punch predicates on there being the happy ending, and we get that sense of relief that it's over, and that that it's all tied up with a bow and we're happy, and then there it is. Oh my gosh! Right? And there's a lot of ways for them to do it.
So many ways they can do it. A gut punch like that, but I love the imagery of that, of Boyd. I mean, because it's been a theme of the show ever since season 2. Boyd saying, "You won't break me. This place doesn't break me. You don't effing break me." And we're seeing this place doing everything it can to break Boyd. But if he ultimately wins, if he ultimately triumphs over this place and makes it out and makes it to his boat and makes it to that house on the lake that he and his wife had purchased and were moving to when they got stuck in Fromville, and the last line we get is him sailing off, turning around and saying, "Told you you wouldn't break me." And then boom, turns around and there's the fucking lighthouse. I feel like either ending would be good. I feel like if the last line he says, "Told you wouldn't break me," and he sails off into the sunset and lives, I feel like that's a great ending too. But boom, adding that gut punch to it makes it even better, which I have to credit Golden Child with. Golden Child was the one who came up with the boom, he turns around and sees the lighthouse idea. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant, Golden Child. Brilliant. I would love that ending, or an ending like that. I would not be mad with an ending like that at all.
So are you amending your prediction that Boyd doesn't make it out then?
No, I still think Boyd's not going to make it. But I still don't think he's going to make it. No, but if he were to make it, I would not mind an ending like that at all.
Yeah. Now, I mean, again, this is one of those things where when we start talking about these scenarios and how things might go or how it might look when it happens, I think, the more we talk about it, the more I warm up to the idea for sure.
Right. Yeah. And then we hear K Sarah Sarah playing in the background. Cuts to black. Boom. Credits roll.
The radio comes on itself. The radio
comes on. He's just fucked, man. Right back in Fromville. I just think that would be such a crazy ending. We were talking about endings the other day, and we kind of, brainstormed that one. But let us know in the chat. I mean, I would love to hear some of your guys' ideas or theories you guys have, or maybe ways that you want the show to end, ways that you hope the show will end. What are some of your guys' ideas when you think about how From is going to end? What do you guys picture in your mind? Do you picture them getting out? Do you picture them not getting out, and everything in between? What do you guys think of when you think of, okay, how is From going to end? And what about you, Ravener? When you think about the end game, how do you think this show is going to end, or how would you like it to end?
Oh man, well, I'm a sucker for happy endings. I
Yeah.
like the
You like
the
the
good.
hero's journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the good guy to win. I'm tired of anti-heroes. I'm tired of dark and gritty
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
Good
this
old
and that.
fashioned hero every once in a while is good.
Yeah. So I've always just in the back of my mind, and ironically, having talked about this show, having streamed and analyzed, every episode down to the tiniest little detail, I haven't really thought about how I would like it to resolve. I mean, I have a general idea. I'd like a happy ending. I've anticipated, I thought that Victor would have a Hodor moment. We've talked about certain characters having a Hodor moment, sacrificing themselves. I know you're a fan of Boyd doing something heroic to sacrifice himself to facilitate other people escaping.
Yeah.
I still think Kenny is going to get out alive. I don't anticipate a scenario where he doesn't make it, but I'd really have to go down the cast list, point by point, and figure out, do I think this person's going to live? Do I think this person's going to die? Are they collateral damage? Are they going to be a poignant, heartbreaking ending? A death that's displayed this way? Are just a lot of people going to be? Is there going to be a massacre or a semi-massacre or something of that sort that just takes a lot of people off the table at one time, where we don't have time to linger over individual deaths, because they still have too many people to give each individual person a poignant death. There's got to be, at least a few, or at least one situation where multiple people drop at one time, and however they want to frame it, however they want to write it. I do see. I want that scenario like you're talking about, even if it's a gut punch, where Boyd discovers that he hasn't escaped. At least he's still alive, kind of thing. I'd like to see Kenny live. I don't see Julie dying. I don't see Ethan dying.
No, me neither. Me neither.
But yeah, I think I'll probably have to defer to the chat, because that's one of those things that, for me, I want so many things, but I'd also be satisfied with none of the things I anticipate happening.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at too. As much as I would love to see, an ending like that, like the one we described, where Boyd makes it out, the triumphant, the heroic, you don't break me, and boom, he makes it out happily ever after. But I also certainly wouldn't mind the ending where he turns around and boom, he sees the lighthouse and he's still stuck in there. Or, something a little more along the lines of some characters make it and some don't. It seems like a lot of people in chat were wanting like a mixed, a little bit bittersweet, where some people make it, some people don't. And that's kind of where I think it is going to end. Like if I had to guess as to where I think it's going to end, that's a little bit different as opposed to where I want it to end. I would want it to end close, similar to what we said about Boyd and, that scene. But how I think it's going to end is probably going to be a little bit more bittersweet, where some characters make it and some don't. A lot of characters.
At the end, if it's going to be like that, I could see somebody like even Jade dying. I could see Donna dying for sure.
I could see Jade and Tabitha both dying, but not until like the final episode of like the final season. I could ultimately, and maybe that's their fate. Maybe their fate is to ultimately die and put this whole reincarnation cycle to an end. Maybe they are meant to be the last ones. I could definitely see Jade and Tabitha both going in the final season. Not this season, but I could definitely see them going in the final season. But yeah, chat's got some very interesting ones. Resurrection from the Lake of Tears. I mean, it seems like the Lake of Tears is rearing its head and kind of inserting itself back into the storyline. We'll definitely talk a little bit about that in a minute. A big reunion from the survivors outside of Fromville, similar to the Lost ending. I mean, I liked the Lost ending. I know not everybody did. I know that's very mixed reviews when it comes to Lost. I liked the Lost ending. I got every answer that I was looking for personally. And the underlying messages that Lost was trying to teach the audience, I thought were really, really good, really, really good stuff that could help you in life in terms of learning acceptance, learning to let go, learning to not be so controlling. Like Lost teaches you a lot about life if you're open to listening to it, I guess. So I like the Lost ending, and I didn't mind that reunion of that side world that they set up after they were all long dead. I wouldn't mind something like that. I wouldn't want it to be too similar to Lost, though. I mean, I feel like they've already kind of skirted the edge of coming really close to Lost in some of their storylines and some of their plots. I would love for, at the end of the day, when we look at From and we look at Lost, that we see two totally different shows with two totally different endings. That's what I would like to see. But I'd be blind if I didn't say that From is definitely borrowing some certain themes from Lost. They definitely are. But no, I would like the endings to be a lot different. I would love the From ending to be a lot different from Lost ending, even though I like the Lost ending.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't going to make it out of this season, much less have to deal with season 5.
Right. I'm with you. I'm heading into the season. I know you guys have probably heard me say it a million times, but heading into the season, I always envisioned this being their darkest season. The season before the final season is always going to be your darkest period, and usually any storytelling, whether it's a trilogy, usually it's the middle. The middle film is always the dark era, the dark time. And I always had a feeling that would be the case with the penultimate season. It was going to be the darkest season yet and probably have the highest death count. What did we lose? We lost 2 main characters in season 3, and I think that's the most we've ever lost in a season. When we look at all of the previous seasons, I don't think we've ever lost more than 2 main characters in a single season. We lost 2 in season 3. I have to imagine we're going to lose at least 2 or more in season 4. I have to imagine we're going to.
Yeah, I would not doubt what Blue's saying here, that Sarah will sacrifice herself. She's already kind of proven that she almost feels like she herself is lost. So
I feel like she was. I feel like she found herself, though, in the season 3 finale when she did that thing to Elgin, and she realized. I feel like she kind of realized what her role in the town could be. I can be the person that can do these kind of things. I can be the person that can cross that line so others don't have to. I can be the one that crosses the line so Boyd doesn't have to save his soul. And if Sarah's putting herself in that mindset and in that role, yeah, I could very much see her sacrificing herself for either Boyd or the Matthews family.
Yeah, but you've already got to be at a point where you're reconciled with the fact that your soul is lost.
Exactly. And I think she's there. I think that's where she is. She feels like her soul's already gone, but she can at least save Boyd's. And that's why she does what she does to Elgin. So Boyd doesn't have to. But yeah, no, I would be totally fine with a bit of a mixed ending for sure. Totally fine. They save the children and become billionaires with the best theme park in the world. Who knows? Maybe that's possible as well. Christy was wearing a red shirt too. Yeah, is that a sign? Maybe, I don't know. I like the idea of a happy ending where some may die, but most make it out. But maybe one person is stuck there, and I think that could be a very interesting kind of scenario too. Like if they do all make it out, what is the state of Fromville going to be? Will Fromville even still exist? And if it does, yeah, will 1 or 2 people be left behind or choose not to leave? Maybe. I think that's going to be a very interesting question to finally get the answer to at the very end of the season. Is Fromville even going to be standing by the time this show is over? Or whatever they do to complete this quest, whatever they do to save the children, does it bring an end to the realm that is Fromville itself? Yeah, and again, I feel like that's kind of been planted into the back of my head ever since we read that interview that the From creators did right before season 4 started with the Hollywood Reporter, when they were confirming that season 5 was greenlit and that season 5 was going to be the final season. There's a lengthy interview, and at one point at the end of the interview, they're asked, could From in some way ever turn into some kind of amusement park like was just mentioned in the chat? Could the set itself, now not on the show, but like in actual real life, could the set be converted into some kind of tourist attraction where people could go and, visit the set? And Jeff Pickner said, well, that's assuming that Fromville is even going to still be standing by the time the show ends. And that came directly from the showrunner. Jeff Pickner himself, the main guy in charge. Jeff Pickner is, he's in charge of the show. John Griffin might have written it. Jack Bender might be directing it, but Pickner is the man in charge. So yeah, I you know, ever since he said that, it's kind of just been planted in the back of my head that maybe the show is going to end with the very realm of Fromville itself being no more. And again, if
Yeah.
children created Fromville, and I do kind of tend to agree with PM there. PM thinks that the children themselves actually created Fromville itself as a means to get saved. So these reincarnations would always get pulled in here for a chance to save them. And I don't think that's a bad theory at all. I think I wouldn't be too surprised if we found out that the children themselves did create Fromville. And if the children do ultimately get saved, then that means there's no need for Fromville anymore. So again, I almost wish that he never said that in that interview, because it's kind of in the back of my mind now. But yeah, part of me is wondering, is Fromville even going to be standing by the time the show ends, now that the showrunner himself put this idea out there?
Yeah. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I mean, he put that out into the world. Yeah.
He put it out into the world. You know, we know how things can manifest once you put them out into the world.
You know, and like they did with the Matthews house, they used like an end loader to crunch the building and then CGI the end loader out. Man, could you imagine them doing that with something as big as Colony House?
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
It would have to be all CGI. I don't think they'd just destroy that house.
Yeah. Before I get to this from Robert, we have a question. What was Lost about? Okay, Lost was a great show. I loved Lost personally. It's a mystery box show where a plane crashes on an island, and the survivors of the plane crash quickly start to realize that this island is not normal. It is not normal at all. It has these kind of supernatural, mystical properties to it. And slowly but surely, they start to realize that them crashing here might not have been an accident, that it might have been a purpose as to why their plane crashed on this island. I don't really want to say too much more of it than that in case people want to watch it. I don't want to really spoil anything, but I will say, if you like the mystery aspect of From, you're probably like Lost as well. So that's what Lost is about. Really, really fun mystery show. But we got Robert here for $20. Thank you so much, Robert. Oh, and I think Robert is giving us how he thinks the last episode of From is going to go. So the very finale of From, according to Robert. Love to hear this kind of stuff. Last episode, Julie stops the sacrifice and From is never created. Cut to Donna with her sister. Cautry calling the police on the little boy's dad. The Matthews with Thomas on vacation and Boyd in his boat fishing on the lake. Now, while that ending would be super happy, and I like it for that reason, I really don't want to see that happen. And again, this is just my personal bias, me personally, maybe, because I'm not a huge fan of the whole let's go back in time and change things so it never happened spiel. That's literally what Lost tried to do as well, and that's kind of coming a little too close to Lost for me. Lost tried to do that exact thing where they thought if they were to do something specific that it would just change everything, and they never would have crashed. But I won't go into specifics though. But
I mean, that's a cool scenario. I mean, that Robert's describing.
It's a cool scenario in the sense where, you know, it's a happy ending, and I don't mind a happy ending, but I do kind of want to see a little bit more of a mixed ending. I want to see an ending that does have a little bit of darkness to it. I want there to be a cost after everything that they've been through, after everything that they've gone through. If they do make it out, I want there to be a very profound cost on the survivors, that if the survivors do make it out, they make it out and they're forever changed. That's one thing I've always enjoyed about The Lord of the Rings, how, you know, Frodo, you know, he conquers, you know, his task, he destroys the ring, makes it all the way to Mount Doom, yet we see the toll that it takes on him. He's never the same ever again. He can never go home ever again. He has to sail off with the elves to the Undying Lands just because he can't go back to the Shire and live his old life. He's seen too much at this point. I would love for the ending to be similar in that realm, where some people make it, some people don't, and the people that do make it have a profound cost that they have to live with for the rest of their lives for making it. That would be my ideal ending. But again, there's nothing wrong with a happy ending like this, what Robert's describing as well.
But yeah, this one is kind of a short putt away from it all being a dream, you know.
It's a little, it would be a little too cheap for me. And like, I feel like John Griffin's a really good writer. if the ending of this show is really, oh, all Julie has to do is go back in time and stop the sacrifice from ever happening, that just feels a little cheap to me personally.
Yeah, and
for how good the writing has been.
Yeah, Amazing in the chat says, "Don't undo our journey," and I think it kind of would.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I feel too. Yeah.
But thank you for the super chat, Robert. And it is a good idea. I mean, it's certainly one direction that they could go. I mean, it would be. I would not anticipate that for sure.
And there's ways that they could do that to make it interesting. I mean, like, maybe Julie goes back and stops the sacrifice from happening, and we get the impression that everything is fixed. We see everyone back at home, and then right at the last second before we cut to black, we see something that indicates Fromville's still here, and they're all about to get pulled in, like some kind of dark twist on a happy ending. That I could really dig. But yeah, I guess just for me personally, I want the ending to have a little bit more of a cost to it. I want the show to have stakes, real stakes. And for them to just be able to go back in time and just change everything so it never happened, that to me isn't a story with real stakes. But again, that's just my personal take on it. But I like it. I like it nonetheless. And again, yes, thank you so much, Robert, for the 20, my friend. Yeah. Everyone who sent a super chat. You guys a glitter bomb. You guys a glitter bomb. We got one more rolling in. We got 5 from Larry. Thank you so much, Larry. Very much appreciated. Do you think we'll get more regarding Sarah being told to cut out Toby's tongue and Kenny's dad saying, I don't like him? The voices aren't the monsters. I really hope we do, Larry. And we were discussing this a little bit earlier, but seeing as this does seem to be the season of revelations, the season where kind of skeletons are coming out of closets, I really hope that at some point, yes, Jade does find out what really happened to Toby. Because again, like we were talking earlier, it doesn't seem like Jade knows the full extent of what Sarah really did. As far as anyone's concerned, it seems like all they know is Sarah opened the door for the monsters went in and killed everybody. But if they were to find out the real truth, that the only reason Sarah opened the door was to make it look like a monster attack to cover up the fact that she killed Toby herself, yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that comes to light at some point. And as you mentioned, another part, Kenny's dad says as soon as he sees Toby, I don't like him. What exactly was that? What was Kenny's dad feeling in that moment that made him think, okay, I can't trust this Toby. I don't like this Toby guy. And then why exactly did the voices want Toby dead? That's another question that we don't have. Again, a lot of good theories out there. And even I think that maybe the voices could have potentially mistaken Toby for Jade. Possible, but unlikely. I don't know. But yeah, we need a definitive answer there. Why exactly did the voices tell Sarah to kill Toby? And will we get some kind of answer as to why Bing was mistrusting of him as well? I don't know if we'll get any answer in terms of like Kenny's dad saying, I don't trust him. I don't know if we'll ever get an answer as to why he said that, but I'm hoping at the very least we'll get a revelation that at least Jade will find out what Sarah really did.
Yeah, it's just there's too much looming there. There's too much secrecy, and yeah, it's got to come out. And maybe that'll be what finally pushes Sarah to do something really self-destructive. Because right now she's still a little bit shielded by the full extent of her actions, mostly being secret. The surface level stuff came out, and that was devastating enough. I mean, she was a pariah in the town, but if there's you come to find out that there's body mutilation and another layer of duplicity or whatever betrayal that she performed even in that same event, I don't see her coming back from that.
I mean, yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I hope we get the reveal. I hope we get some kind of reveal at some point this season where we do finally, or again, we as the audience, we've known since season 1, episode 2. We've known that what Sarah did, and again, that's the us as the audience, we have that added benefit of seeing the whole picture where our characters don't. But yeah, I do hope at some point the characters start to catch up to the audience a little bit, and they start to learn the things that we know. And I think they will. One by one, I think they will. But that'll be interesting to see. If Jade does find out what Sarah really did, what will be the consequence there? How will Jade react to it? Will he excuse Sarah? Will he forgive Sarah and realize that she was being manipulated? Or will that send Jade further down a spiral, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, part of Sarah's redemption arc. She feels like she's actually doing some needful things, doing some things that nobody else will be willing to do because, even if she does feel like she's lost, she feels like she might be useful or something of a redemption arc.
Exactly.
And then the monsters could flat out say, oh yeah, Jade, by the way, did you know that Sarah was, rug pull her, make her have hope and then rug pull Sarah.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because I did a video on something similar a few weeks ago when we first saw the season 4 trailer, and we saw that Jade goes down to the caves at some point and it looks like he runs into the monsters. But it doesn't exactly look like the monsters are trying to kill him. It looks like the monsters are grabbing him and forcing him to the ground, almost like they want to show him something. I wouldn't be too surprised if the monsters did tell Jade what Sarah really did, just to try to create, a rift, another rift in between the town, in between the characters. But I don't know. When I see that scene of Jade in the caves, it just doesn't look like they're trying to harm him. It looks like they're trying to show him something by forcing him to the ground and making him look at something. And then we get that other scene of Jade literally on the ground in the caves, looking up at something, screaming in terror. So I think they're going to show him something when he's down there in those caves. But I don't know what it is. Could it be Toby? Could it be something else? I don't know. But it looks like they're going to show him something.
You think it's like a vision of the past, or do you think it's in the present where that they're terrifying?
No idea. But again, if you check out the season 4 trailer, the full season 4 trailer, you'll see both the scenes I'm talking about, where one of them looks like the monsters are grabbing him and kind of forcing him to the ground, and then another scene in that same trailer, it looks like Jade is laying down on the ground in the caves, looking up at something, screaming. And again, I get the feeling it's all one scene. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to Jade going down into those caves and seeing what really is going to happen in that scene. What is really going to happen?
Like Boyd said, and you could even see, again, we're going back to Frey being the title, but when Boyd, I was happy that that Boyd and Jade sat down and they had their discussion about the children and the Ankui and all of it. And Boyd it just ended it with try harder. I'm trying. I'll try harder.
Try harder. And he will. Jade will be trying very hard, I imagine. And of course, it looks like in episode 3, we're also going to get this scene. This scene was very prominent in the season 4 trailer, the scene of Boyd going up to Abby's grave and talking with her. And then boom, this hand reaches up from the ground. Not one, actually 2 hands reach up from under the ground and start to pull Boyd down. So it looks like this scene is going to be in episode 3 as well. But again, this is most likely going to be Fromville screwing with him.
Yeah, I'm like, is it a 99% chance or a 100% chance that this is like a hallucination or something?
A hallucination or a dream or a vision? That's where I'm leaning. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're really seeing a hand pop up and pull Boyd down.
I've been bamboozled. My boozle's been bammed enough. I'm not following.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you get me again. You're not getting me again. But yeah. That will be in the next week's episode as well. But up next, we have an interesting scene with Julie, which is pretty interesting. Sarah is no one to Jade, but if Boyd knew, then that would cause a rift between Jade and Boyd. That's a very important point as well. That's right. Jade and Sarah, they don't really have much of a relationship there. I mean, I imagine they've only shared a few words. I don't think they've been in many scenes together. But yes, I could definitely see Jade maybe taking that anger out on Boyd for not telling him. Like maybe Jade is confronting Boyd like, hey, you should have told me. You should have told me the truth from the very beginning. That could very much cause a rift in between Jade and Boyd. And that's a good point, PM, because we do know that Jade and Boyd have only just now started to team up together. I mean, I've been waiting for fucking 4 seasons for Jade and Boyd to have some more screen time together. These two characters very rarely interact with each other. Now they're finally teaming up and they're finally looking for answers together. But yeah, that could be something that drives them apart. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well.
Yeah, I could see that being the wedge for sure. Absolutely. PM.
Definitely. We also have this scene from Julie in the episode 3 trailer. It looks like Julie and Sophia are going to be having an interesting scene here.
Are you kidding me? I didn't mean to upset you. I'm sorry. What did you mean to do that? Julie, stop.
Now, of course, again, we have the added benefit as the audience of knowing that Sophia is really the man in yellow, and that Sophia is probably applying more of her manipulation tactics to create more rifts within town. But what exactly is that going to look like? What exactly is Sophia saying to Julie here in this scene? I mean, I believe someone, I think it might have been PM, and a couple others who are bringing up the possibility that maybe Sophia is trying to bond with Julie here in this moment. Sophia, her cover anyway, even though we know it's bullshit, but as far as they know, Sophia just lost her own dad too. She just lost her father. Her father just died and she just arrived here. Could we see Sophia attempting to try and bond with Julie here? Like, okay, I lost my father too. I know what you're going through type thing.
Yeah, I mean, that would be perfectly consistent. And one thing I'm so, at least so far with the interactions that, and to be fair, they're very limited so far, mainly just with Kenny and now Sarah. At least nobody has some innate sixth sense suspicion of Sophia. Right now, I think everybody's taking her on like surface terms. Yeah. And I'm kind of happy about that, because I think, some sixth sense suspicion kind of cheapens it too. Nothing will have value if you've got magic everywhere. If everybody can do magic, nobody can do magic.
Yeah. So I think this will be interesting to see what exactly is Sophia saying to Julie here in this moment, and what kind of it looks, whatever reaction Sophia was hoping to get, I get the feeling she got the desired reaction. Then the trailer. Sorry, go ahead.
And Julie storming out of a room. I've never seen that before.
No, we haven't seen that before. And Tabitha running up behind her. And then the trailer goes into a scene that we've seen in season 2. This is actually season 2, episode 10, when Tabitha finally makes it to the lighthouse. But then we get to this scene here with Tabitha and Henry.
Gets everyone home. It's not. I don't know what gets everyone. Finding the lighthouse could be what gets everyone home.
It's not.
I don't know. I'll try something else.
Not if you're dead.
All right, so Tabitha thinks that finding the lighthouse could be what get everyone else home, and you can understand why she might have that theory. I mean, last time she went to the lighthouse, she ended up home after all. Yes, she had some assistance by the boy in white, but in Tabitha's mind, she knows that it's possible to get home from this lighthouse. Somehow, some way, it is possible. So I can, her kind of wanting to go back to this lighthouse definitely makes sense within her character. Especially kind of just taking off and leaving her kids in town unattended for. That also makes sense with her character. But yeah, I think this is
going back to Frey. I mean, when people are being pushed, beyond their limits, every character, bad ideas become reasonable,
But one thing I think might be going on here, and I mentioned this in my episode 3 trailer breakdown, but we hear Tabitha saying that what if the answer to going home is at the lighthouse? And we're led to believe that is the reason why she wants to go into the tree. But what if there's another reason? What if that's not her only motive for trying to go to the tree, for trying to go to the lighthouse? What if she's hoping to go back to the lighthouse because she's trying to find the boy in white? And what if she's potentially trying to look for some last desperate ditch effort to bring Jim back? Could she be desperate enough to think, maybe the boy in white can bring my husband back? If the boy in white has power to send people home, has power to do this, clearly has supernatural abilities, could Tabitha be doing one last ditch desperate act to try and find the boy in white in hopes that he can save Jim? Or is it just because now she has a little bit more of a sense of urgency to leave because Jim died?
That is actually pretty interesting because I mean the Ankui reveal took forever for them to come to it on their own.
Yeah.
It would be entirely, and I mean again, you know how I feel about Tabitha, but it would be consistent with her character to be like, there's one person here that knows WTF's going on, and that's that little boy. So she, at the very least, would want to have a sit down with him and say, "Tell me what you know about what is going on here." Um, and please, P.S. Please don't throw me out the
P.S.
window.
Please don't throw me in. Yeah. Do you think that Sophia will be a smartass and ask about the missing hotel? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I suppose that would be kind of fitting for her character. She's asking questions about literally everything else that she's seeing. So yeah, I think that could be possible that she asks about the hotel. And again, will we ever get some answer about the hotel? You know, everybody is still wondering what is going on with this motel. How come the pool and the sign is there, but the motel isn't? And will we ever even get an answer for that? Or is that something that we'll never learn? I don't know. Again, I'm still 50-50 with the hotel. I wouldn't be surprised if we never get an answer to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get an answer to it next week.
Yeah, if Henry hadn't mentioned it, I would have thought that it was just one of those.
Exactly. That's the only thing that gives me some hope that maybe there's something to it, because we have an actual character mentioning it. Now, just like last week when we have an actual character finally mentioning, how do we save children that are already dead? I mean, I can't believe it took this long for a character to ask that, but at least finally we got Boyd here, learning all this knowledge from Jade, and at least he's asking the tough question. How do you save children that are already dead? That question should have been asked as soon as they found out about the children.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did sit down and talk, and they all saw enough incredibly fantastical, wild stuff that nobody would believe if you weren't there for it. But they've all seen enough separate instances of that they're actually finally comfortable enough and allowed to tell each other this wild stuff without other people thinking that they need to be locked up.
Yeah, very true. And this is also another good question as well. The town has 47 people in it, as far as we know. We finally got a direct, an exact number from Kenny last week. In episode 1. So who are all the other people? If some of them are reincarnated, then who are the rest? That's the $1 million question right there, right? What exactly is going on with everybody else in town? Is everybody that gets stuck here a reincarnation of a previous member of the town? Or is it just Jade and Tabitha and maybe a few others? Or just Jade and Tabitha? I don't know at this point. At this point, I'm really not sure. Although, there is some interesting things that a lot of fans have pointed out for, giving their takes as to other characters also being reincarnations of previous characters, which could be possible. At this point, I just feel like we haven't been given anything definitive enough to really know for sure if other characters are also reincarnated or if it's just Jade and Tabitha.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that don't even get to lay their head on a pillow the first night. I mean, there's people that don't even get to square one.
Exactly. I have to imagine, some random people are getting pulled in here with the quote unquote special ones.
Yeah.
A
lot of them, whether it was the bus people, the ambulance driver, or both of them, actually, both of the ambulance people that came in with Acosta. A lot of people don't even get to start. So I guess more people need to come, or unless the the math is already figured in.
Maybe. My boy. But yeah, I don't know. I think episode 3 does look like it's going to be pretty interesting. Just based from this trailer alone, looks like episode 3 is going to be pretty interesting. We got another 10 from Larry. Thank you so much, Larry. Very much appreciate that. I have to ask, who do you think knew Jim was? The real spirit of Jim? I think maybe the boy in white, because of how he was looking around. Definitely not the man in yellow, because he really hugged him and we saw his eyes close with love. Yeah, again, that's another really, really interesting question. who was that at the end of episode 2? And was it the real Jim? Was this really Jim, or was this something else? And again, I feel like there is good evidence pointing to both. For me, one of the things that makes me wonder, that makes me think anyway, that it might not be Jim, is the fact that he didn't warn his family about the new threat that they're facing. Jim had one goal. Jim only cared about one thing in life, and that was keeping his family safe. He just got killed by this mysterious, powerful man in yellow. And then all of a sudden he has this miraculous chance to talk to Ethan after he gets killed. And he doesn't tell Ethan to tell his mom about this new threat that his family faces. If that was the real Jim, I would think that the first thing he would have done is told Ethan about the new threat that they face. Because the last thing that Jim heard from the man in yellow is that, oh, I wish you were here to see what comes next. I wish you were here to see all the chaos that I'm about to go cause. So Jim died knowing that something was coming for his family. Yet he has a chance to speak to his son from the afterlife, and he doesn't mention that massive threat. That just doesn't sound like Jim to me. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's not Jim. But then again, other people have brought up some other interesting points, that maybe this is fresh ghost Jim and he's disoriented. I mean, maybe. I don't know how much I like that, but I get it, you know. But for me, I don't know. I'm leaning a little bit more towards it not being Jim, just for, you know, the dialogue. You know, the one thing that this Jim apparition wants to know about is the Lake of Tears. Why do you want to know about the Lake of Tears? How come you're not asking about your family? How come you're not asking if Tabitha's safe, if Julie's safe? How come you're not telling them about this new threat that they're facing? So again, him not warning his family about this threat is very suspicious to me.
Man, see, I'm kind of, I sometimes, maybe I'm in my own state of denial or whatever, but I kind of wanted it. I want it to be the real Jim so bad that I believe it to be.
I want it to be Jim. I want it to be the real Jim. Yeah.
And I was suspicious because he was looking furtively around. There were a couple instances where he pauses and he's like looking, like he knew that he didn't have a whole lot of time.
Like
which
he knew
goes back to
Tabitha
your
was going to
question.
be, like he knew Tabitha was going to be coming, and he only had a little bit of time to say what he needed to say to Ethan. Because as soon as he hears that Tabitha is within shouting distance, he disappears. And you know, the looking around is super sus. Not telling your family about this massive threat is super sus. Tabitha showing up and you disappearing is super sus.
Right.
So yeah, I think he's sus.
But that tells me that what he's talking about with the Lake of Tears is more important. If he had enough time to talk about one thing, and he talks about the Lake of Tears, and he has to do it gentle. He has to do it in a way that Ethan isn't going to be scared. He isn't going to be like stressed where the information doesn't sink in. He's kind of like sitting down explaining to him, you know, remember the Lake of Tears, you know, in a very gentle way, to not stress out Ethan, because Ethan seeing it is dead dad, you know, a literal ghost. So if he knew that his time was limited and he had to choose which of the things that he could address. I mean, yeah, you could give him an exposition. Hey, by the way, there's a Lake of Tears. You need to go find it. Oh, and also there's a new monster that's going to come after you. Don't be afraid. Bye. I think they did it in a nice, gentle way, and I do think it was the real Jim. Now, does that
why
mean
does he
that
not warn his family? I can't get past that for some reason. And there's ways that he can do it. You need to go and tell your mom to watch out for the man in the yellow suit. That's all he had to say. Literally all he had to say. He doesn't mention anything about trying to keep his family safe, and that just is not Jim to me.
unless so this might be a fake Jim, a force ghost Jim.
Could be real.
And then the real Jim is the polter Jim. Maybe the real Jim can only be poltergeist for him.
Maybe. And that's another good point as well. Could the real Jim have been what was causing all the cabinets to kind of swing all over the place, like we were discussing last week as well? Yeah, again, I feel like it could go either way. I feel like a lot of the audience has come up with some really good arguments for both. There's good arguments out there for it not being Jim, and there's some really good arguments out there for it really being Jim. So again, this is one of those good ones that From really kind of has me torn down the middle. I lean a little bit more towards it not being, just for the simple fact that his main goal was always keeping his family safe. If he had a chance to talk to his family from beyond the grave, I have to imagine the first thing he's going to do is warn them about this threat that they now face, because he knows this thing is coming for them.
Yeah.
But then again,
yeah,
you know,
but
he
I
might
mean,
be trying to find the Lake of Tears so he can come back and protect his family himself too.
yeah, and he is but he is like like Larry indicates, he hugged him. He soothed Ethan. He wanted him to feel like things were okay. I think if it was a evil, I mean, if it really wasn't evil, they wouldn't do anything to assuage the anxiety and the.
Well, would they? I mean, this person is coming up to Ethan, trying to get information from him, trying to get information about a very specific dream that he had. Why wouldn't you want to put that person at ease before you ask that question?
Oh man, I'm deleting myself, man. I want it to be.
It's tough, right? And this is what makes the show so fun, man. This is what makes the show so fun, discussing stuff like this. But yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Love stuff like this where where the audience is kind of split down the middle in terms of like, what is it, what isn't it? This is what makes the show fun. These discussions right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could go either way. It could be real Jim, or it could be something else. And if it's something else, I guess the question is it the Man in Yellow, or is this something new that we haven't seen before? Is also a question. So again, I could see it going either way, definitely. But again, that's what makes this show fun for me. These kind of discussions.
Yeah, I would I don't know what he is, but I don't think he's the Man in Yellow. I think Man in Yellow is in Sophia form, lurking about the town. That much I do feel confident.
Okay.
Now, the exact nature of Jim, I do not know yet.
It's tough. Again, it's tough. But that's what makes these scenes fun. That's what makes these scenes. That's what makes the show fun. Anyway.
Yeah, Benjamin says it's definitely Jim.
I mean, some people think it's Jim. Hey, a lot of people think it's Jim. A lot of people think it's not Jim. Again,
50% of people are 100% certain of.
Exactly. But again, I think that's why stuff like this is fun, because there is good evidence for both. There's evidence to suggest it might be Jim, and there's definitely evidence to suggest this is not Jim. So again, I like scenes like this. It's fun. Very, very fun stuff. But yeah, that is the end of the episode 3 trailer. Fun again. I think episode 3 is going to be a good one. It looks like we have some interesting things to look forward to. It looks like they're moving the story ahead at a much more, at least in terms of plot progression. They're moving forward at a pretty steady pace compared to previous seasons, which again, that makes sense. They're coming to the end. These are the final 2 seasons. It's time that they start answering things as opposed to continuing to set things up. So I'm happy. I had some problems with the first 2 episodes, but small nitpicky things. For the most part, I'm really enjoying episode 1 and 2. I think I gave episode 2, I believe, a 7 or a 7.5. So I think the show's off to a good start. I think they're setting up something pretty interesting, and I think the second half of the season is going to be when it really gets good. I mean, if everything we're seeing, it's looking like this first half of the season is going to be, setting up the plunge into the madness that is the second half of the season. At least that's where I think it's going. But yeah, I'm excited. Very much looking forward to episode 3, entitled "Merrily We Go." And it looks like episode 3 is also going to be the episode where we find out what's going on with Victor, what kind of, how he's drawn the Man in Yellow, what kind of memory he has of the Man in Yellow, what kind of interaction did Victor have with the Man in Yellow in the past, with that drawing. We got some interesting things. Tabitha and Henry at the bauble tree. I really hope Tabitha doesn't push Henry's ass into that tree. I'm a little bit worried for our boy Henry. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one, I think.
Yeah, and I feel it pretty much the same way. The pacing is great. I think I'm very satisfied with how much they're packing in, and I always go back to how monumental of a task they've got. So many characters, and it's a problem of their own making, of course, but they've got so many characters to deal with in each episode to push forward a little bit. Acosta going crazy. I think I felt like they spent a lot of time, a lot of screen time with Acosta going crazy in the ambulance. And there was a lot of Christy talking to her too, which is like, man, this chick's going crazy, and they're having their dialogue back and forth. But for all the little quibbles I have with how things are, and again, maybe it's just how I want it to go, or how I think that I don't know how I want it to go, but this isn't it. Sometimes that happens, but yeah. All in all, I like I said at the very beginning, man, I think even if not every scene was perfect, the sum of the parts was greater. The sum of its parts
is greater. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you too. Even if I do have small problems with certain scenes in isolation, yes, when you look at the episodes as a whole, I'm very much enjoying it. It's so glad to be back in Fromville. It's so glad to be talking From again. I'm super excited for the rest of the season. And yeah, I very much feel like this is going to be the season that we've all been waiting for, the season that gives us a lot of those answers that we've been waiting, 4 or 5 years for now. So yeah, and Golden Child suggested put up a poll. I did just put up a poll. You guys can vote on it right now. Refresh your chat if you haven't seen it. Just refresh your live chat. The poll is up, and the question is, was that the real Jim? Yes or no? Cast your votes right now and let us know what you guys think. Again,
this will be interesting. Yeah,
I think this one could go either way. Not the poll, but Jim on the show. I think that one could go either way.
I think the poll will go either way too.
The poll will go either way too. Although a lot of people think it is Jim. I'm thinking the yeses are going to win, because just based on the comment section that I've been seeing on my videos, a lot of people think it's Jim. But yeah, it's kind of close, 59 to 57, 43. So kind of close. The yeses are edging it a little bit, which I kind of anticipated. But yeah,
the scar means something. I didn't catch the scar on Jim. We did know that Julie didn't get her scratch. We thought for sure she was going to get scratched.
I thought for sure that was going to be it. Yeah. Must be some other encounter, I guess. I thought for sure that was going to be it. Would have been a perfect time for it, I guess, a perfect setup for it. But yeah, looks like Julie is going to get that scratch on her face somewhere else. I don't know how, but we will see. I have to imagine that's going to happen this season, though. Like Julie getting the scratch on her face and her slowly getting closer to becoming that future version that we saw. I have to imagine that by the time this season ends, she'll at least have that scratch on her face. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah, awesome stuff, guys.
Do the season 4 or the
yes. Well, the new teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted
spoiler,
to see this.
I
wanted to see
because of the
spoiler. For the very end of the stream. And now that we are at the end of the stream, now is a perfect time. Because I know that there are some people out there that don't want to see any of the new trailers, and I totally understand that. It's totally fine. But I also want to be accommodating for people who do want to talk about the new stuff. So yeah, I figured now that we're at the end of the stream, I'll give everybody a very fair warning that we are going to play the new trailer. Now, for those of you who don't know, a new trailer, a brand new From Season 4 trailer just dropped today, just a few hours ago. It is uploaded on the channel for anyone who does want to see it. I'll play it here in a minute. But for anyone who doesn't want to see this trailer and doesn't want to see anything that's in this new trailer, because there are a few things in this new trailer that are kind of spoilery, not like huge spoilers, but there are some interesting spoilery things in this new teaser trailer that they just released. It's an official MGM trailer. They uploaded it to their official MGM YouTube channel, so it is official, it's legit and all that. It's not a leak or anything. But I know how some people don't like to watch the trailer, so I always at least want to give a good heads up. If you don't want to see it, totally understand. Now would probably be a good time to exit the stream. But if you do want to see it,
after you vote for Jim,
after you vote, you vote whether or not you think that was real Jim or not. Yes, very good point. But yeah, I'll give it a few seconds so people can make up their mind, and we shall see. We shall see. Oh, but we have a few of these that we have to get to as well. We got another one from Larry. Thank you so much, Larry. Very, very much appreciate you, my friend. If it's really Jim, he's like all-knowing and removed now. Could be cool, but that reeks of boy in white. Do this for me. I mean, and again, I think the boy in white's an interesting possibility. I mean, could we find out that the boy in white also has shape-shifting abilities? Who knows? Who knows? And if so, why does the boy in white want to find the Lake of Tears? And you know, how come he can't find the Lake of Tears on their own? That's what makes this whole thing interesting. If this wasn't Jim, if this was the Man in Yellow, some other kind of entity, why exactly are they looking for the Lake of Tears, and how come they can't find the Lake of Tears without Ethan? That's, again, there's a lot of interesting layers to this whole thing here. But no, I think it's going to be fun to find out definitively one way or another. And what's going on with this whole Lake of Tears thing? Where is it in Fromville? Why exactly does this Jim want to find the Lake of Tears? Is it really because it is the real Jim and he thinks the Lake of Tears is the only way he can come back to life to save his family, to protect his family? Or is this not the real Jim and they want to find the Lake of Tears for some nefarious purpose, to use it for some reason, and they know Ethan is the only way that they can get to it because Ethan has seen it? So yeah, again, I think that one could go either way. I love both sides of the argument, but yeah, if that is Jim, he seems to be all-knowing. This is very true. He seems to have gained some stuff, and that's possible when becoming a spirit, maybe.
Right. Yeah. You never know what a spirit picks up.
You never know.
Has the boy in white appeared as anything else? I mean, I know in Victor's dream, he mistook Christopher talking to the dummy, to Jasper, as
the boy in white, and then he remembered it was the boy in white the whole time. But yeah, no, up until this point, the boy in white has only ever appeared as the boy in white, or I suppose you can call him the teen in white now that he looks like he's ready for his first beer.
Right. Now, and I wonder if that information, if it was the boy in white and he appeared in boy in white form to Ethan, could he have told him the same information that Jim did and it have the same impact?
Maybe that's a possibility as well. Definitely a possibility, at least.
But I still think it's Ghost Jim. But again, that begs the question about the poltergeist, the cabinet. Unless his unfinished business was just a hatred of cabinetry and joinery.
Maybe, I don't know. That's a good point. Again, a lot of questions we still need to answer. That's for sure. And thank you so much, Larry, for the 5. Very much appreciate you, my friend. We also have Katrina Marie for another $10. Thank you so much, Katrina Marie. None of the ghosts have ever said anything to help. Abby, don't break that music box. The literal correct answer. Tom, sober up. Drugs are what unlock the memories. Jim, the radio's broken. Don't try. I mean, you bring up an interesting point. You do bring up, and even when Father Cautry shows up to Boyd at the end of season 3, he's trying to talk Boyd out of torturing Elgin, which in turn would have saved Fatima. So you can make the argument that Cautry was trying to stop Boyd from saving Fatima. So yeah, sometimes some of this advice that some of these dead cameo characters give isn't always 100% in line with what they might have given when they were alive. So again, it does throw some suspicion on, is this really them? Is this really the ghosts of these characters, or is this something else? Again, I love the discussion because I feel like there is really good points on both sides.
And when you lay it out there like that too, it looks a lot more sus. So I like that. Yeah. I like that comment. It's like, oh yeah, that is kind of true. Yeah, because all of them are like, we come away from those conversations thinking that they're good, that they are helpful.
I mean, for the most part, from some of them, I do. I go away from some of those interactions thinking, okay, this was a good interaction, and then I go away from some of them, like the Cautry one at the end of season 3. Thinking a little sus of Cautry, because essentially he's trying to stop Boyd from saving Fatima. Yes, you can make the argument that Cautry is just worried about Boyd's soul and he doesn't want him to have to live with torturing a teenager. I get that. That's also a possibility. But yeah, some of the advice that some of these dead characters give, sometimes it's a little sus. Just sometimes, not always. Not always. But there we go, folks. We will get into the new trailer now. And again, I'll give one more final spoiler warning for anyone who doesn't want to see it. Again, MGM Plus has just released a brand new trailer for season 4. It's only a few seconds long. It's around 20 or 30 seconds, but it shows some all new scenes that we haven't seen before in any of the other trailers, some of which that are a little bit spoilery. So if you don't want to see the new trailer, I totally understand. Right now would probably be a good time to depart the stream. But if you are still here and you do want to see the trailer, then here it is, folks. Here we go. Let's pull
51 votes. That poll, I think it was actually closer than it appears, because it was razor thin for a pretty long while. We're at 51 and it's 57-43. So yeah,
Okay.
the Jim faithful, myself included.
Jim Faithful. I had a feeling the yeses were going to take it again, just based on all the comments I've been getting on some of my videos. A lot of people think that's legit Ghost Jim. And again, it could be. It definitely could be.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see if the anti-Jimites are correct.
We'll see if they rise up by the end of the stream. Yeah, we'll see if they rise up. But all right, here we go, folks. I am pulling up the brand new trailer. Again, MGM Plus just released a brand new teaser trailer for season 4, for the rest of the episodes of season 4. Not the rest of the episodes. Again, I get the feeling that a lot of the promotional material that we're seeing in all of these trailers is most likely all compiled from the first 5 or 6 episodes. That's usually what they do with all of their trailers. So I get the feeling this is probably more of the same here. But again, one final warning for anyone who doesn't want to see the new trailer, now would be a time to depart. But if you are still here, here we go, folks. In 3, 2, 1, here is the new teaser trailer.
It's time to play.
I went looking for answers and I found answers. This is our shot. This is where you make your stand.
The man in yellow's back. It could all be happening again.
What do you want from me?
Woo! What do you want from me? I fucking love Harold Perrineau. I really fucking do. The guy's so fucking good, man. I can't wait to see that scene. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in that trailer, but this is the fucking scene I want to see probably more than anything else, because he's just so good at these, highly emotionally charged scenes where he just really channels rage, emotion, pain, anger, suffering. He channels it and kind of puts it out so fucking well. Like, he really is such a good actor. I can't wait to see this scene, because it looks like Boyd is going through it here. What do you want from me?
and that's the thing. He keeps it contained so frequently that when he does burst, it's doubly effective. He maintains, being all things to all people, in the town. But when he's alone, when he has, the opportunity, and he'll just uncork. So there was a lot packed into that trailer. These scenes
I'll play it again.
Okay, you're like, what is the significance of this? What the heck is going on here?
There's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of good stuff in this freaking trailer. All right, let's play it one more time. Again, if anyone doesn't want to see it now, it's probably a little too late now if you're still here. But if someone if there's a slight possibility that someone has just entered the stream in the last few seconds, we are about to play the brand new from season 4 trailer that MGM just dropped. So if you don't want to see it, now is your warning. We are playing it again. Here we go.
It's time to play.
I went looking for answers and I found answers. This is our shot. This is where you make your stand.
The man in yellow's back. It could all be happening again.
What do you want from me?
Talk about fun. I mean, there's so much stuff here. We got Kenny standing on the roof. And I get the feeling, I wouldn't be surprised if this has something to do with that machete scene that he talked about, and that little spoilery thing that was, half of it was bleeped out, but half of it wasn't. And you definitely got the sense that Kenny was talking about some kind of scene with him using those 2 machetes, and apparently it's on a roof. So when I see Kenny here on what looks to be some kind of roof with a colony house in the background, the motel sign in the background, Yes, give me more of this. I want to see badass Kenny. I want to see Kenny actually step into becoming a badass and doing some damage. Hopefully, we'll see some of that. But yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Some very interesting stuff. We got our first look at Smiley. We were wondering, well, at least I was wondering anyway, why they didn't put Smiley in any of the promotional material, considering how much they leaned on Smiley's imagery for past seasons. Like, I was very surprised that they didn't put Smiley in any of the material until now. We finally get our first look at Resurrected Smiley 2.0. And we see him on the bus here as well, again, which could be a flashback to the scene when he was on the bus in season 2 when he killed the old couple, or could be him on the bus in a different scene.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it was even just a flash of old stuff, because like the one with Fatima laying down.
The one with Fatima laying down, exactly. And that's what's interesting about some of these scenes. They kind of they mix in some old scenes every once in a while with the new.
Yeah.
But like this was a scene from episode 2 that we already saw. So we got some new stuff, some old stuff. Cautry, looks like Cautry's going to be making an appearance again at some point in season 4. I mean, again, is this really Cautry? Is this the Man in Yellow? Is it something else? A lot of questions. I feel like introducing the Man in Yellow and revealing that he's a shapeshifter, it just by definition, it kind of at least casts a little bit of doubt on all of these cameo scenes to ask, okay, were these really the ghosts of these characters, or was this the Man in Yellow the whole time? I don't know. But again, interesting little teaser trailer. What jumped out to you watching the teaser?
Oh man, well, I saw her. Yeah, I saw Sophia leaning over. So she's in another situation where she's leaning over somebody who's in one way or another incapacitated or something.
And it looks like she's in that same shed where Boyd was getting all the tools to torture Elgin with at the end of season 3, which is the shed that's not too far from Colony House, the Colony House shed.
Yeah.
So it looks like she's inside there. It's time to play.
It'll be interesting. And I mean, we already know that she's gonna have a significant, I don't know, but yeah, this could be at any point. It's not necessarily tied to episode 3, so
exactly,
who knows what she's up to. I didn't even catch Smiley on the bus, unless that was an old one, or is that a new?
I think it might have, because we do see Smiley on the bus in season 2 when he goes onto the bus and kills that old couple. But I'm gonna be I will be putting this in my trailer breakdown video that I'm working on for this trailer. I went back and I analyzed the 2 scenes, and they're different. At least the way that Smiley walks is different. In the original one in season 2, when Smiley's walking down the aisle, he's looking at each seat as he's walking down the aisle, and he doesn't have a big smile on his face in the original. In this one, not only is he not looking at the seats when he's walking down the aisle, but he's got a way bigger smile on his face, and the red is way redder too. So that's what's throwing me off. And PM and I were discussing it before the stream, actually, and then we're coming up with some interesting kind of evidence, I guess you could say, that points to it maybe being the same scene, or maybe being a different scene, or maybe being the same scene that Julie's story walks back to, and it changes slightly because she gets seen. Maybe, I don't know. But it looks a little different, just based on the way that the Smiley is walking down the hallway, down the aisle of the bus. It's 2 different walks.
Okay, maybe Sophia's tampering with talismans already, and Randall's about to get evicted. But yeah, Randall's not even living there anymore. He's in the clinic, right?
Yeah. Randall is living at the medical clinic now. So I don't think anybody's living on the bus now, unless
Smiley did love that bus, though. He did
love the bus. He did love the bus. Yeah, is Sophia choking someone? Kind of looks like. It does look like she's maybe almost straining. So yeah, I definitely get the feeling if she's not choking someone, she's killing someone in some other way here. I mean, it looks like it's time to play. I mean, clearly she's revealing that she's not this innocent kind of, innocent teenage girl. So whatever's happening here, yeah, I get the feeling she's killing somebody here, definitely.
Yeah, but who would be laying down in the tool shed unless she went there and bonked him on the head with a shovel, maybe?
Yeah, what circumstance of events? How do we get from here? Like, what happens where Sophia ends up in the shed with another character?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
See, it's doing its job, I guess. It's
doing its job. I mean, in terms of creating hype, this trailer is doing its job. Then here we have Smiley, and as PM also pointed out, the luggage here in the back is in the exact same place and is the exact same way as the scene in season 2. And later on, after Randall moves into the bus, I believe he clears all this stuff out. So that could be another indication that this is Julie's story walking back to that scene when the old couple gets killed. And part of me wondered, now we know Julie is going to be doing everything she can to change the story. Could this scene right here potentially be Julie's first iteration where she actually changes something? Could Julie actually story walk to this moment and potentially save that old couple from getting killed before Smiley gets there? I don't know. I feel like it's at least a possibility. And if that does happen, could that be what sets Julie on the path to believing she does have the capability of changing things?
Yeah. She needs a win for sure, because the first one was very exploratory. The second one did not work out so well. I like that scene though. I really did, how she put Randall in there first to make sure that he wouldn't just blink out of existence or fall down or whatever. Yeah. And then she's like, come back. And it was like, that was so realistic. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, wow. And then she kind of like vaguely told him it's gonna look bad. Don't pull me out too soon. With that, what does that mean? What does too soon mean? So exactly. It really did a really good scene and well put together. And God help me, I think Julie did a good job acting it too.
Yeah, like you said earlier at the beginning of the stream, Hannah Chermy, the actress who plays Julie. Yeah, I mean, you can she stepped up a little bit this season where her scenes are better. They're just a little bit better. Yeah. And that happens, with actors getting more experience and getting a little bit older, you're going to get better at your craft. And yeah, I feel like you can notice an upgrade in her performance for sure.
Yeah. Still ugly scream face and ugly cry face, but the overall acting, and they're giving her character a little bit more to do, than just being a petulant teen stereotype. So I'm kind of digging it. Good job, Hannah.
Yeah, shout out to her. We got Boyd walking through town, not a whole lot there, him just ringing the bell, letting everybody know that they got to get inside. We have another shot of what we saw in the other season 4 trailer of Jade down in the caves. But then we have a continuation of it where Jade says, I went looking for answers and I found answers. I went looking for answers and I found answers. This is our shot. Now, I guess this maybe potentially confirms what a lot of us thought anyway, that Jade is going to survive his trip in the caves. Maybe. Unless him saying this here, that I went looking for answers and found answers, is him referring to everything he learned at the season 3 finale, at the end of season 3. Although part of me does get the feeling that he's going to learn something pretty big down in those caves and he's going to survive it. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. He might be reporting back to Boyd. You said, do work harder. And he's like, here it is. So again, another scene where we get a tiniest of snippets. And then the full scene is going to be a whole lot, so much more satisfying. Yeah.
Could
Super
be.
good.
Could
Yep.
Could be. But that's awesome. Glad Jade's not going to be, hopefully not dying. But next, let's see what else we got. About this, we've already seen this was in episode 2. We see Father Cautry. Father Cautry is going to be coming back at some point, and which again I had a feeling. I think a lot of us had a feeling that Cautry would be making his usual cameo like he has in every season since he's died, and that's what's been pretty fun. Like I really enjoy the character of Cautry, and I really like the actor Sean Majumder. The guy's just a really good fucking actor. So I'm glad that they're able to find a role for him past his death, that they're able to continuously bringing Sean Majumder back to the show to give him these scenes with Boyd, because those two actors just have really good chemistry on screen together, Boyd and Father Cautry. Those characters just work well together.
Yeah, I buy that relationship completely.
Me too. Yeah. Totally. But I do forget, what does Father Cautry say?
This is where you made your stand.
This is where you make your stand. That's right. This is where you make your stand. And we see fucking Boyd walking down the street with the fucking sledgehammer in his hand. Looks like he's going down. If I had to guess, looks like he's going down into maybe the root cellar or the basement of Colony House. The basement of Colony House and the root cellar both have like the same kind of basement like this in terms of this stone kind of this stone wall. The basement of Colony House and the root cellar both have a very, very similar wall. So I'm wondering where this is, but seeing this door here makes me wonder if this is maybe in the root cellar and that Boyd is knocking something down. I mean, something is bringing Boyd to this point where he feels like he's going to find something behind this wall. So I can't fucking wait to see this fucking scene. What exactly is Boyd going? What is Boyd looking for here? What does he think he's going to find on the other side of this wall? I don't know, but it should be
No
fun.
idea, right?
I don't know, but it should be fun. It should be fun. But yeah, I like that scene. I thought that was a really good scene. Really,
who's busting in the window glass, the vehicle?
Fatima. That's a scene that we have seen in other trailer where we have Fatima here just destroying a car in the car graveyard. And I'm wondering, is this maybe the car that she got stuck in Fromville in? Does she need just something to take her anger out on? Like, we do get that other still. I believe I have it. There is a still that shows Fatima much clearer, just smashing the crap out of this freaking car, like just going hammer on it. Here it is. Let me show this.
Okay, and I do not remember that at all for some reason. It must
it was. I believe it was only in one of the newer trailers. I'm not sure, but this was just a still that MGM released that shows Fatima. You know, she's got the sledgehammer and she's got the gloves out and she's smashing up this car. Now, I mean, again, we don't have really any context as to why she's doing this, but it could simply just be that she needs to take out some anger. She's venting. You know, I mean, they have those. You know, what are those rooms called where you can put people in rooms and they just smash shit with fucking bats rave room or whatever they call it. Sometimes destroying something like this can be cathartic. Sometimes it can be therapeutic to just destroy something real quick. So maybe we're seeing Fatima just, you know, getting out some of that pent up anger and aggression, trauma and stuff, and channeling it in a manner like this. Because again, smashing something like this, it can be therapeutic every once in a while.
Yeah, burn off some pent up energy. Okay, I see. Like when you said we'd seen it before, I was like, I thought it was in the show. We hadn't seen it in the show yet, but it was in a still.
Ooh, building a monster trap. Yeah. Is she getting supplies? Maybe. Okay, is she potentially breaking this up to get some kind of supplies to build some kind of monster trap? Ooh, maybe. That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Needs material, some broken glass for them to walk on.
Cut them up. I don't know. I think this is going to be fun to see what she's doing here because we do see that one scene in one of the newest trailers that it does look like Fatima is building something or sculpting something. I don't know. It might be a sculpture or something. It looks like she's doing something, like she's making something. Could this have something to do with that? Maybe it could. Or again, maybe it could just be her, you know, letting out some aggression. It can be therapeutic. But yeah, that is the Fatima scene. Let me go back to the trailer here. But yeah, I mean, they show some pretty interesting things. Again, I have, after already seeing it, part of me wishes I didn't watch it now. I guess.
See, I didn't get anything spoilery out of it. I mean, it's like this person's here and they're somewhere doing something somewhere at some point, but I have no context. The only thing that's like
spoilery really is stuff that I think we already knew was coming. Like Victor says, the man in yellow is back. That tells us that Victor very much had some kind of run-in with the man in yellow and knows that he's dangerous. So there's little small spoilery things, but again, it's all stuff that a lot of us were theorizing anyway. And some stuff is out of context. Like this shot right here is one of the funner shots. Not this one right here. Here we have Victor saying the man in yellow is back. It all could be happening all over again. But then we have this one here of this switching to Tabitha, and not just switching to Tabitha, but we also have drawing just plastered on the freaking RV ceiling as well, because this is very much still the RV. The RV has all those tar marks and everything. This is still very much her up against the RV. There's just drawings there all of a sudden. Now, I guess what I'm wondering here is this somebody showing Tabitha how Jim died? Is Tabitha experiencing Jim's death for herself? Are the Onkui children showing this to her? Is the boy in white showing this to her? Or is this the man in yellow doing this to her? But it seems like she's experiencing what Jim experienced.
Yeah, yeah, and the way they cut it, so like that. Yeah, I have no idea what the significance of it is, but yeah, it looks very. I would be surprised if it's the man in yellow doing it. It probably is. I would almost credit the Onkui kids because they're all about remembering.
That was PM's first guess too. Was her first guess was maybe this is the Onkui children showing Tabitha how Jim died. And then I thought Onkui kid, yes, maybe the boy in white too. I think that could be something the boy in white might do. But then again, you look at the hand, and it very much looks like the man in yellow's hand. Maybe he's doing it. I don't know. I like the Onkui kids maybe potentially showing her this, but then I threw on my tinfoil hat a little bit. Now, again, this is very tinfoil-y. I don't think this is what it's going to be. But when I saw this, it just made me think of the butterfly effect. That what if by some kind of twist of a paradox, Julie goes back in time, successfully saves Jim, only for Tabitha to end up in Jim's spot in a butterfly effect of events.
Okay.
We've seen what happens when people meddle with time. When people meddle with time travel and fixed events, Jim's death very much looks like it would be considered a fixed event, something that you maybe can't go back and change. But what if she could? What if Julie does find out a way to ultimately save Jim, and all that does is end up creating a cascade of butterfly effects where Tabitha ends up dead and Jim ends up getting saved? There has to be some kind of price, I guess, is my point. When it comes to this whole time travel thing, when characters go back in time and change things, there is always a consequence in the future that was unintended. So that's, again, that very much more tinfoil. I very much more lean towards this just being a vision. It's probably Tabitha just having a vision, experiencing Jim's death. But it did make me think of Julie's abilities on a grander scale. Like if at some point in the future, could Julie potentially find a way to save Jim? And in doing so, end up causing Ethan's death or something, like some kind of butterfly effect. There needs to be some kind of stakes. There needs to be some kind of price that she pays for meddling with time.
Yeah, that is some good tinfoil, though. I like it because she could go back. She could intercept Jim before he gets to the RV. Says, "Dad, don't ask questions. Just listen to me. You need to go this other way." And Jim does. He goes off in the. But Tabitha is following along behind Jim.
Yeah,
on the same path.
Exactly.
Just a little behind.
A little twist of fate, a little twist of a butterfly's wings could be the difference between Jim going to the RV and Tabitha going to the RV. Just again, very tinfoily. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's more along the lines of a vision. But again, it made me think of Julie's story walking ability on a grander scale. Maybe not this instance here, but at some point in the future, if she does find some way to save Jim, what is the ripple effect going to be?
Yeah, and as Kiwi says, the pictures do make it sus because they are nice, and unless the man in yellow takes time to decorate before Tabitha Jim gets intercepted, but
this one right here is looking more like a vision. I'm thinking more along the lines on Julie's kind of abilities as a whole going forward.
Overall,
could her meddling with time create some kind of a ripple effect that has an unintended kind of side effect? I just feel like that would make her story walking much more interesting if she actually, has to suffer some kind of consequence for meddling with time.
Yeah. I mean, and Ethan just announced the rules. You can't change. You can go back and view this stuff, but you can't change it. That would be pretty big for Julie proving him wrong, saying I not only can I go back, but yes, I can actually change something. So
maybe.
So much potential. So much potential in there.
Some potential there. There's some, and that's what worries me about the Julie story walking kind of aspect of the show. There's so much potential for it to be really, really good, but there's also potential for it to really, really mess some things up. When you introduce time travel into a story, you got to be really careful with how you implement it. But again, I think John Griffin has given me no reason to doubt him up until this point. Everything that the writing team has done up until now has given me confidence that they know what they're doing. So if they're introducing this ability this late in the game, it's because I'm hoping and I'm assuming that they have a pretty set plan with how they're going to use it. But I'm just hoping that plan includes some kind of consequence on Julie's part for meddling with time.
Yeah, that's another good point. See, I get caught up in these ideas and just go with the wave, but you're right. That can get very overpowered very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Again, I kind of always bring up Lost in these instances. Lost also did that. Lost introduced time travel into the show in season 5, excuse me. The end of season 4, season 5's storyline was centered around time travel, them kind of flashing back and forth in between time. And it was one of the weaker storylines on the show. It did almost ruin the show in some instances. They kind of pulled it back in the last minute and were able to save the story in season 6, I felt. But it got a little dicey there with the time travel on Lost. And I'm hoping that this show isn't going to do that. They have very set kind of parameters for how they're going to use this time travel / story walking ability. But again, I'm hoping that includes some kind of consequence for meddling with time. There's got to be some kind of consequence. You can't just go back in time, change something, and there be no consequence. That can't happen.
Yeah, and it can't. And the nuts and bolts side of it says that it can't be the be all end all of the whole story because they still have so many other characters to push along and resolve.
Exactly. Yeah, good point. But yeah, I mean, it looks like episode 3 is going to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like not just episode 3, it looks like the rest of this fucking season is going to be fucking wild. If they're showing this kind of stuff in their trailers, I can only imagine the kind of stuff that they're not showing us, the kind of stuff that they're holding back that we can just see in the actual episodes. And again, when I look at a lot of the footage that they have released in all of the trailers, it does look like, just based on the episode synopsis that they released, it does look like the majority of the footage that we've seen in all of these trailers is from only the first half of the season. So again, I can only imagine what the second half of the season is going to look like. I think this is going to be crazy.
And only 2 days away.
And only 2 days away. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are very, very close to our episode 3 live watch party that we'll be doing right here on the channel like we usually do. Saturday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. If you are a subscriber to MGM Plus, and of course, unfortunately, you have to be a subscriber directly to MGM Plus. If you are a subscriber to MGM through Amazon, you won't get the episode at the same time as everyone else. And again, I don't know why they do this, and I get the server issues, but there's better ways that they could stagger the releases of these episodes so it's not so far apart. But if you are a member of the direct MGM Plus streaming service and you live in the States, you should get access to the episode right at midnight on Saturday night, just like the rest of us. And we'll be doing our live watch party right then. But of course, for those who don't get the episode then right away, we will try to do some, I always do an encore on Sunday night, another watch party or another discussion. So if you can't make the Saturday night one, don't worry. We'll definitely be doing another stream on it Sunday night and during the week as well. But yeah, man, I am ready. I am ready for episode 3.
Absolutely. They've packed a lot in. They've had a big task, and so far they've pretty much risen up to it. So I'm super stoked for Saturday night at 12:01 a.m. Sunday.
12:01 Eastern Standard Time. That is when it is going down. It's I'm looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. And of course, for those of you that have been watching Widow's Bay just premiered. They aired both episode 1 and 2 the same week. So if you guys haven't seen that already and you're a From fan, I would recommend Widow's Bay. It's just the first 2 episodes alone were fun. I mean, I got super hooked onto the show right away. Again, maybe it's because I have kind of ties to the show with it being set like right in my backyard and it being centered around New England mythology, which I'm very familiar with. But the first 2 episodes I thought were really good. I feel like the main character is really fun. He's super fun to follow, and he's playing it very well. Matthew Rhys playing it incredibly well. It's a good mix of comedy and supernatural horror. Really good mix of both. But the show can be serious when it needs to be serious, and it has the moments of levity when it needs those moments of levity. And just from the first 2 episodes alone, they seem to be blending it pretty well. But I'm enjoying Widow's Bay so far. I am working on my episode 1 and 2 breakdown. I will try and get that up on the channel tomorrow at some point, along with my newest trailer breakdown video as well. But here we go, folks. We are just a few days away from episode 3 of From. But I would recommend, if anyone hasn't seen Widow's Bay yet, get out there, check out Widow's Bay, check out the first 2 episodes, see what you think. And if it's a show for you, then great. You can come and join us for some of those discussions as well. Because even if I don't do streams on it, I'll at least be bringing it up towards the end of our From streams. And I'll probably be doing some episode breakdown recorded videos on it as well. But yeah, Widow's Bay, definitely something I would recommend if you like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I love when they give us 2 episodes, because the one episode
gives you
whets your appetite and then doesn't leave you dangling for a whole week. You get actually to jump in. So I will definitely check that one out.
It's good. It was fun. Again, I would recommend watching both episodes before you judge the show as a whole. Like, watch both. There's a reason why I'll say this. There is a reason why they released 2 episodes, episode 1 and 2. If you watch both episodes, you'll have a much better kind of grasp and understanding on the show and where the show is going. So if that would be my only suggestion, if you are going to watch it, try to watch both episodes before you decide if you like it or not, because episode 2 might change your mind. If you watch episode 1 and don't like it, episode 2 might change your mind based on some of the stuff that we see in episode 2. And how episode 2 ends. Episode 2 ends on a very, very interesting cliffhanger that I can't wait to learn more about. So for that reason, I would at least recommend try watching both episodes before you give up on the show. But if it's not your thing, that's totally fine. Totally fine. I will say this: it does have a similar feel to Twin Peaks a little bit in some ways, which I love. I loved Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is the original mystery box show, the godfather of mystery box shows. Long before From, long before Lost, long before Carnival, there was Twin Peaks. And Widow's Bay has a little bit of a Twin Peaks feel to it, a little bit. So I love that. But yeah, I would say check it out if you haven't already. And if you have, I will try and get my breakdown up on that on the channel probably sometime tomorrow. The next day, the latest. But yeah, there we have it, folks. We got 2 really good shows to dive into. From is here. It is back, and it is moving forward full steam ahead. Widow's Bay is here. The first 2 episodes were pretty exciting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where that show goes. And then, of course, we have House of the Dragon Season 3, which will be premiering June 21st as well. So it kind of lines up pretty well, where as soon as From ends, House of the Dragon will be starting right around the same time From ends. So we'll be able to kind of go from one right into the other. Although we'll definitely be talking tons of From long after the season ends. You guys know us. We do From streams all year round. But we'll also be diving into House of the Dragon Season 3 when that drops as well. So we got some really good shows to look forward to. Silo Season 3 will be premiering at some point this year as well. Very much looking forward to Silo. I will be covering Season 3 on the channel. And yeah, we got some good stuff. Some good stuff coming out this year. Severance Season 3 is currently filming. Is currently being written, and filming is going to be starting pretty soon. Shogun Season 2 is already filming. That will be premiering in 2027. Probably early 2027, we'll be getting Shogun Season 2. And I know you can't wait for that, Ravener.
I know. Although without Mariko, my future ex-wife, Mariko.
No Mariko.
And Nagakado.
and Yabushiki. And Yabushiki. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Yeah. Yabushiki was probably, aside from Toranaga, Yabushiki was probably my favorite character in Season 1. The guy was just so good at playing a villain. So fucking good at playing the bad guy. Such a good performance. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Shogun, for me, From is my favorite show to watch. From is my favorite show to cover. But for me, Shogun is the best show I've seen in years. From might be my favorite show, but I think Shogun is the best show I've seen.
So satisfying, so beautiful, so just
it's high art.
It really was great. Yeah. Before we split, 92 votes, which is pretty great participation. Thank you guys on the poll.
Oh yeah,
Gem
where
poll.
are we on the
92 votes? I mean, I know everybody does, people do polls and they'll get 37, and when they have 200 people in. This is good.
Do you see the percentage?
63, yes, it's real Jim. 37, no, it is not the real Jim.
So it looks like, though, yeses have it. Absolutely. And again, I had a feeling a lot of people think that is the real Jim, and it could be. It definitely could be. Yeah, Shogun is the shit, right, Xavier? It's just so good, man. And it's one of those shows that you'll love and you'll fall right in love with, even if you don't like samurai stuff. It's not your typical samurai show. This is a much deeper look at just life as a whole during the Sengoku period of feudal Japan. So it's not a samurai show with a bunch of action. There's actually very little action in it. There's not a whole lot of fight scenes, not a whole lot of action, really. A lot of it is the political intrigue, the court maneuvering, like just showing a really good, authentic look at what feudal Japan looked like during the end of the Sengoku period, getting a little bit more of an accurate look at Toranaga or Tokugawa, a very famous leader in Japan's history that the show is based on. But yeah, it's just so good. It really is high art. It's not a show that, if you're watching it looking for like a ton of fight scenes and all of that, that's not this kind of show at all. This is something that I would say is a little more sophisticated. It's a little bit more, next level in terms of its production, the scope, the scale, the storytelling, the writing, the dialogue, the performances. It is a masterpiece from start to finish. Shogun is.
You were so right. I loved it. It almost felt like decadent, like a decadent dessert or something. It was just so.
It was high art, man. It was high art. So good. So good.
Yeah, a real treat and that one was one of the ones that I could really say, even at the time I was saying, this almost like restored my faith that good things can be made, because we had been fed so much slop. Yeah.
It is one of those shows that gives you faith that good television can still be made. It can. Absolutely. But yeah, good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it for us this evening. But yeah, we will be back this weekend, this Saturday night, diving into our pregame show as we wait for episode 3 to load up on MGM Plus, and we will be diving right in. And yeah, we will see the next chapter in this crazy, crazy story and where it is going to go next. So yeah, bring on episode 3, folks. Hope to see you guys in the chat this Saturday night. But until next time, for myself and Lord Ravener, big thank you to each and every one of you for hanging out with us this fine, fine evening. If you guys haven't already, get over there and subscribe to PM Philosophy, our other awesome co-host. You can find the link to her channel in the description of this stream. And of course, anyone who has become a new member of the channel, or if you are just a regular member of the channel, if you have any requests for some new emojis that you want us to make custom for the members, leave a comment in the comment of this stream when it is over, and I will definitely make those up. But there we have it, folks. We are signing off. We will see you on Saturday night. Keep an eye out for the Widow's Bay review that I'm going to try and upload tomorrow. And of course, I will be trying to get out my trailer breakdown up tomorrow as well on this new trailer that just dropped. But until next time, stay safe out there, ladies and gents. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and we will see you on the next one. Cheers.
Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're going to spend the night in the box.
aren't Cooey.
I think this is when it happened.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I did try to warn you.